he extends slightly a little bit further to make sure his tops of his calves are really activated. Excellent, guys. 2 to go. Excellent. Now be sure to keep breathing. Very important to keep breathing and do not hold your breath. Okay, now relax. Excellent. What we'll do is we'll do 5 more, but now the feet will be turned out. So begin with the heels together, and then we go up slightly. Again, for beginners, just keep to your own level. For the more advanced, you can go right up to the balls of your toes. Excellent. And 3 to go. Great. Excellent posture here with Mel. Making sure your weight is all the way over the tip of your big toe. That's it. And 1 more. Excellent. How's that feeling, guys? Great. How are you getting on there? Okay, now just to extend those back legs out, getting a good calf stretch. Excellent. And stopping side. Great. Let's do a little bit more and go up a little bit higher. We're now going to activate the lower back muscles as well as the core stability muscles through the front here. Okay, let's get the pelvic moving. Now guys, just lying back onto your balls, that's right. The main area that should be supported by your ball is the shoulder. So Mel, if you like, you can come forward a little bit more with your feet. That's right. The main thing to watch out for here is that your feet and knees are in one direct line. That's right. Shoulders on the edge of the ball and your hips are off the end. Excellent. Now you've actually got the room to move your hips up and down. So Nick now will demonstrate the exercise we're doing. That's correct. Again, for beginners, hands across the chest and relaxed. For the more advanced viewer, hands behind the head. That's right. Okay, now these are pelvic lifts. What we're aiming to do is keep the knees as tight as possible. Just like that. That's correct. So one parallel line. You'll feel that your knees will want to go out to the side naturally, but it's very important to try to keep them tight together. Okay, what that actually does, activates these outside muscles as well as the hips and the lower back. Feel that working? Good. How you going over here, Mel? Good? Okay, so we've got 10 to do. Can you give me 10 more? Excellent. Now, it's very important in a situation like this that you remember to breathe. It's very easy to hold your breath, but you've got to remember to keep that blood flowing as your heart rate will keep increasing. Okay, give me 5 more. Excellent. Can you feel those legs burning? How about you? Great. Now remember to keep those knees together. We've got 2 more. Excellent work. And 1 more. Okay, now relax. Now by relaxing, extend your arms over the ball and reaching back. Now to get a great stretch through the hips here that have just been activated, exactly as Mel's demonstrating, make sure the ball is directly underneath your shoulders. Great work. Okay, we're going to give you 1 more set of those. We've got another 10 repetitions to go. Let's go. And down and up. Great. Again, the movement must be very slow. We want to activate all the muscles through the mid-body here. The quicker the exercise is, unfortunately it leads to more, the timing can be wrong, the wrong muscles can be activated. The slower it is, the more controlled it will be. Okay, 5 more. You're breathing here, Nick? Good. It's very important. And 2 to go. Excellent. And holding up. Great. Now extending those arms up, relaxing over the ball, and don't forget to breathe. Now it's very important to stretch as you exercise, decreases chance of injury, and it also reduces lactic acid, so it prevents soreness for tomorrow. Okay. Now we're going to be activating the opposite muscle groups. So if I can have you lying over the ball, coming right forward and putting the weight onto your elbows. That's correct. Okay. Now I might just have you moving forward just a little bit there. Excellent. Okay, now with Nick here, he's going to demonstrate the more advanced option. He's up on his fingers, but Mel, if you'd like, you can demonstrate on your elbows for the beginner version at home. Okay, so what we're after here is the extension of the back legs. Excellent, really activating the buttocks as well as the hamstring muscles. Okay, I want to see 5 repetitions. That's excellent. And holding for 5 at the top. Great. Now you see with the beginner's option here, You can have your legs apart, okay? But if you wish, they can be put together nice and tight, squeezing the toes, calves, hamstrings, and butt, and that way it activates all those muscles the whole way down. As Nick is showing here, it's one straight line from his head through to his tail, right down his feet once he is fully extended. There's no arch in the lower back. Okay, now relax. Just rolling over that ball and stretching out the back. That's great. Once again, just stretching those muscles that we've activated. How's that feeling? Good? How are you getting on? Okay, now it's important we'll do one more set. Let's come forward once again. Great. And let's lift up. Great. Excellent. Legs together. That's good. Now with the position that we've got down here, it's important that our neckline is a little bit more straight. That's it, guys. Excellent. We don't want too much extension through the neck, putting stress on that joint. Excellent work. Let's give me 3 more. Holding up. 2 more. And 1 more. Excellent work. Now relaxing, coming over the ball and giving yourself a nice deserved stretch there. Excellent work. Okay, following up after this segment, we'll be having a cool down. Now it's the best part of the segment today, we've got the cool down. Now you've worked really hard, you've activated quite a lot of your muscles through the lower body here, as well as the back and the lower legs. So it's important to stretch them out, get the blood pumping through them once again, reduce the heart rate and prevent injury. Okay, so I've got everyone just sitting on the ground down here. We'll first of all do a nice back extension and rotation work. Okay, so everyone bringing that front leg up, crossing it over and hugging it into your chest. All that'll do is just increase the stretch through your back here. That's great, Mel. As you can see, Mel has a very straight body, her shoulders are still back and her head's lovely and tilted up. Great work. Okay, now just tilt to the opposite side with your body. Sorry, just rotate it there. That's it. For the more advanced viewer, you can look in the opposite direction as Nick has done here. For the beginner though, just keep your head straight. Excellent work. Now it's important to hold your stretches. We don't want them rushed, as that can increase the risk of injury. Now let's swap over. So other leg in now, cross that over and hug that into your chest. Great. Now let's rotate back. So crossing over, looking in the opposite direction. Okay guys, now just sitting up, placing one leg out and one leg tucked in. That's right, excellent. Relax that leg down. Now for the beginners, I really want you to watch what Mel's doing here. Take it to your own level and just slowly reach down over your leg. Now with Nick here, he's also going to show you a beginner's way. You can slowly just reach one leg down, almost to your foot. You feel a great stretch through your hamstrings as well as your calf. For the advanced viewer, Mel will give you an option as well, where you can crawl your hands towards your feet, increasing that stretch through hamstring and your opposite buttocks. Excellent guys, now swapping over legs. Great. Reaching forward and down. Now it's important that you don't tuck your head under. We don't want any stretch through the upper spine here. The only place we want to stretch is in our legs and the lower back. Great job, Nick. How's that feeling, Mel? Stretching out those muscles we worked today? Excellent, great. Now sitting in a frog position, so both legs tucked in, feet in as close as you can to your body. For the more advanced viewer, Mel will show you can press your knees down towards the ground. That's right, again, gentle stretches. We don't want any vigorous activity here. And Nick will show you with the beginner's pose, the knees can be relaxed and you can grab your feet. Excellent. How's that feeling? Excellent. Now just coming around to a kneeling position. We'll now be stretching through the hip flexors and the hamstrings. So basing one leg out in front. That's great. And slowly just leaning into that stretch. Again, taking it to your own level. Beginners can place their hands either side of their legs. For more advanced, you can have your hands back on your hips. Excellent. Now, pulling back on that leg, straightening the front leg, and leaning your body over that leg. For the more advanced viewer, you can put your hands on the ground if you wish, and creep them forward. Again, making sure that the neck is extended and not tucked under at all. Excellent. For the more beginner's view, Nick's giving you the option here of resting your hands on your legs. Great. And swapping over. Again, going back into a hip extension exercise and resting it down there. Great. Have you enjoyed your workout today? You've activated some very big muscle groups. Your legs, lower body and lower back. As I said, it's very important that you do cool them down. And bringing that back. Putting your hands forward on the ground and slowly reaching over your hands. Now it's important that you are centered to that leg in front, because once again we don't want to activate or stretch the incorrect muscles. Okay guys, now standing up. As we stand up, we bring one leg up, clasp it with our hand, that's correct, and holding it up towards our bottom. For an increased stretch, pull it in even tighter, as we're demonstrating here. But for a beginner, you can just loosen it off. Squeeze the buttocks muscles, that way the hip flexors will be activated and you'll get a great stretch through the quadricep there as well. Excellent. Now swapping over sides. Excellent. And again, squeezing those buttocks muscles, breathing and activating your core muscles through your belly button. Great. How's that feel? Feels good? Excellent. Okay, legs side, breathing in, muscles. Okay guys, now standing up. As we stand up, we bring one leg up, clasp it with our hand, that's correct, and holding it up towards our bottom. For an increased stretch,
NTV, turning on your world.
Every idea we have begins with you. The way you connect.
Good morning.
How you browse. How you share. And how you interact with the world around you.
Your relationship with your God is the most important thing.
Have a company of people who have got a similar mindset.
How do you want people to think, feel, and act after your talk? In other words, what's your objective?
You inspire everything. Because in the end, innovation doesn't really matter unless it does something that really matters to you. And we are HTC.
NTV, turning on your world.
NTV akawongeza ennaku z'omwezi ziri 18 omwezi ogwokubiriza Farida Nakazibwe. Tutandise ne President Yoweri Museveni atadde omukono ku tteeka erirwanyisa obuseegu n'obugwenyufu. Minisita avunaanyizibwa ku kukwasiza empisa n'obuntubulamu Father Simon Lokodo ategeezezza bannamawulire nti etteeka lino lyateekebwako omukono ku ntandikwa y'omwezi guno. Etteeka liweera enkunamyo n'okutunda ssaako okulaba ebifaananyi eby'obuseegu nga singa omusango gukukka mu vvi oyinza okusibwa emyaka 10 okuwa engassi ya bukadde 10 oba byombi. Eyali minisita w'ebyempisa mu myaka gy'ekyenda Mary Amatembe agamba nti etteeka lino lirinyirira eddembe ly'abakyala.
How do you reconcile?
Ku makya ga leero minisita akwasaganya ebyempisa Simon Lukodo alangiridde kati okutunda firimu n'obutabo obulaga ebyobuseggu n'okwambala mini bwe kimenya amateeka.
On the 6th day of the month of February, the year 2014, His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, assented to the anti-pornography bill.
Wano ku street wendi abakazi abawere 10 bebakambitawo nga bambadde mini era okusinziira ku tteeka eryakayita bamenye etteeka.
Kino kidiridde President Museveni okussa omukono ku tteeka eriwera ebyobuseggu. Kino kitegeeza okwambala enkunamyo nga mwe muli okwolesa ebisambi, akabina naddala mu bimansulo oba okuleka amabeere ebweru mu ngeri ey'esitaza kubakuza musango.
I have had to scatter people in a place called Casablanca. Who goes to Casablanca? All of you. Please from today stop going there because I'm not going to spare you.
Minisita alabudde abayimbi abeeyambulira ku stage okwesitaza abantu nti kaakubajjutuka.
People who, when they're performing, instead of performing decently and give the people the message they want to convey, they're actually misleading the people because now people end up concentrating on their bodies than the message they want to convey in their songs or practice.
Minisita agumbudde n'abo abagamba nti Uganda tejja kuweebwa buyambi olw'amateeka geeyisa.
We shall not care losing that financial support if only we are left alone to do our things because we are convinced this is the way to live. It's actually blackmail.
Wabuli yaliko minisita w'ebyempisa Miriam Matembe avuddeyo n'avumirira etteeka nga bwe litaakolebwa mu mutima mulungi agasseeko nti okuzza empisa mu bantu tekyetaaga mateeka.
Empisa z'abantu empisa n'enneeyisa mu bantu si kintu ekiteebwa mu nkola amateeka, kyekintu ekikolebwa mu society ne families, abazadde ne community ne society bye biteeka empisa mu bantu.
Abantu ba bulijjo nabo bawadde endowooza zaabwe ku tteeka lino.
Waliwo ebifo ebimu bye tulina okwambalamu ebintu ebimpi singa ku beach omuntu tagenda gendera mu bintu biwanvu club ngeeyo.
Ffe emyaka egyaffe gye twakuliramu bakadde baffe baali batubonerezaako naye twakula nga tulina empisa era tewali ku mirembe gyaffe beeyambulako ng'abaana bannaku zino.
Etteeka lino likugira okwesitaza abaana mu ngeri yonna mu bikolwa eby'ekiseggu. Ebibonerezo ebiri mu tteeka lino mulimu okusibwa sako n'okuwa engassi okusinda ku musango gw'ozizza. Kimuli Ivan Kigozi, NTV akawungezi.
NTV akawungezi. Mu buufu obwo bwe bumu ababaka ba Parliament bavuddeyo ne bawagira etteeka lino nga bagamba nti lyakuyambako mu kulwanyisa ebikolwa eby'obuseegu ebibadde bisensedde ennyo eggwanga. Ababaka boogeddeko nafeera zino z'endowooza zaabwe.
Era si kyekintu kye twalibadde tugamba nti tucelebratinga kubanga president akikoze, yalibadde yakikola dda, kyalibadde tekimwetaagisa na kwebuuza oba kutwala bbanga eryo lyonna, naye olw'okuba akikoze kirungi.
Njagala kumwebaza era ogamba nti Uganda ffe ng'eggwanga erita Mukama Katonda kyakoze kirungi, wadde abazungu bagenda kutunenya bagenda kutusalako obuyambi, naye kasita twafunye amafuta gaffe bwe tunaba tugakozesa bulungi gajja tuyamba era tetwagala buyambi bwabwe, naye ekikulu nti abaana baffe bakule nga batidde.
Naye kati ku ngeri gye tuli leero abakyala baafuna da freedom, kati eyo freedom miniskati balina kugiwa mu miniskati enkanawa kubanga nyinza kwambala engoye nga tetuuka wansi naye nga si nyimpi nnyo naye nga emala kati awo bambalawa omuntu babeera bamubalirawa, so ekyo bakiclearinge naye nga si kibi okukola kiteeka ng'eyo.
Kakati lino etteeka lijja tuyamba okulaba nti tugezaako nnyo okuleeta empisa mu baana okusinga abaana abawala, lijja tuyamba okulaba nti likendeeza nnyo mu mbeera zino ezandibadde z'abantu oba abasajja basobola okwegomba omwana kubanga olusi mu nyambala ye esobola okuleetera omuntu n'ajjamu ebirowoozo by'okwagala okwana omwana oyo. So etteeka lino tulyetaaga mu Uganda.
Zendowooza z'ababaka ba Parliament. Uganda eyongedde okukakasa nga bwekyali mu ggwanga lya South Sudan wadde nga wabaddewo omulanga balyamuke. Minisita w'ensonga z'ebweru w'eggwanga Sam Kuteesa agamba nti UPDF yakusigala mu South Sudan okutuusa nga amawanga amalala ageeyama okutwalayo abasirikale gatuukiriza obweyamo bwago. America saako amawanga amalala ageegattira mu mukago gwa IGAD gavaayo gye buvuddeko ne gategeeza nga Uganda bwesaana okuva mu ggwanga lino kisobozesa enteeseganya ez'emirembe okugenda mu maaso.
Desemba omwaka oguwedde olutalo lwabalukawo mu ggwanga lya South Sudan era amangu ddala Uganda yaweerezayo amagye gaayo okutaasa President Salva Kiir. Wabula oluvannyuma lwa Uganda okulangirira mu lwatu nga bweyingidde mu lutalo luno, America n'omukago gwa IGAD baasaba Uganda eveeyo okusobozesa enteeseganya ez'okuleeta emirembe. Olwaleero minisita w'ensonga z'ebweru Sam Kuteesa ayongedde okukakasa nga UPDF bw'ejja okusigala ng'ekyali mu ggwanga lya South Sudan okutuusa nga amawanga amalala ageeyama okutwalayo abasirikale gatuukiriza kye geeyama.
Situation ebeere stable ate n'okuteesa okuliwo wakati w'abalwana mu South Sudan aba SPLM opposition ne SPLM government bagende mu maaso n'okuteesa kwabwe okuli ekibuga kya Addis Ababa.
Kuteesa era agambye nti kino kye kiseera Abafirika okwekolera ku nsonga zaabwe basobole okwewala ekinyoolankoto ekyali e Rwanda mu mwaka gwa 1994.
We can't keep talking that Africa should have the capacity to solve African problems unless we create the capacity. And I think it is in this line.
Amawanga 12 okuli South Africa, Angola, Niger, Chad, South Sudan, Uganda n'amawanga amalala bakkiriza okuteekawo ejjezibizi okuyamba amangu nga waliwo ekiguddewo era nga y'ensonga lwaki UPDF yagenda mangu e South Sudan.
Tugamba nti African capacity for immediate response mechanism bw'ejja kujja tulowooza kiyinza okutwala emyezi 2 okutuukayo.
Kubigambibwa nti Uganda yakozesa bomu ezitakkirizibwa mu kulwana. Kuteesa agambye nti tebakikolangako wabula bomu zino zaaliyo mu South Sudan.
Tuyinza kukozesa cluster bomb kubanga tuli mu ndagaano y'ensi yonna etakozesa cluster bombs.
Ate y'ensonga ya Sudan okugamba nti yesasula amagye ga UPDF kino nakyo Kuteesa akyeganye n'ategeeza nti Uganda ekola mulimu gwayo era ng'ebikozesebwa byonna yebiwaayo.
Ekituufu kiri nti ffe kye tumanyi ffe tufinansinga activities za UPDF zonna mu South Sudan. Naye Katonda bw'aba tuyambye South Sudan neyagala okusasula tuba twejeeredde.
Kati UPDF okwamuka eggwanga lya South Sudan erina kulinda mu bbanga lya myezi 2 era bo b'amawanga 12 gana bagakkiriza okusindikayo abasirikale baayo olwesobole okuvaayo mpola. Deni Lobo Wasava, NTV Akawungezi.
NTV Akawungezi. Mu South Sudan era tutegeezeddwa nga endagaano eyakolebwa wakati w'enjuyi zombi ezigugulana bwemenyeddwa. Kino kiddiridde amagye ga South Sudan n'abayeekera baduumirwa Dr. Riek Machar okutandika olutalo enkyaleero mu kibuga Malakal. Wadde nga wabaddewo ebigambibwa nti Uganda ebyenyigiddemu ne ttanka zaayo ennwanyi, ayogerera UPDF mu Somalia Captain Isaac Oware abyegaanye. Captain Oware wabula akakasizza nti ddala wabaddewo okulwanagana.
Yes, olutalo lwabaluseewo e Malakal leero lwabayekera abazigwa bayekera n'abaserikale ba gavumenti ya South Sudan naatera si kituufu n'ekimu nti no tanka 2 oba 3 nabo zikigambibwa nti zakuta omuliro eza UPDF ekyo si kituufu. Komanda waffe waali amagye gonna we gali mu bitundu byonna era gali bulungi nnyo era tugenda amaaso n'okola emirimu gyonna ng'egisa ku ground.
NTV Akawungezi kyagenda mu maaso eddakiika 9 zeziiseeko. Tugenda kuwummulamu katono ddala. Tulina bingi mu kitundu ekyokubiri era bino bye bimu ku byo. Ekifo aw'okwekebereza ekirwadde kya sickle cells kitongozeddwa. Abaana bangi abakyafa. Enkulaakulana eruweero. Museveni atongoza ekifo awagenda okuzimbibwa amakolero kyakumalawo obukadde bwa $300,000.
an expensive highway full of corruption.
Hey, my friend, how are you?
Even if you give me 1 million, I will take.
Give me 1 million?
Yeah.
They make the drop and they make the big. Both criminals on the highway on NTV tonight, this Wednesday.
Wachaliko NTV akawungezi mu mawulire amalala ekitongole ky'ebyobulamu nga kiyambibwako eddwaliro ly'abaana li Cincinnati mu America baguddewo ekifo omunaakeberebwanga obulwadde bwa sickle cells. Ekifo kino kyakuyambako okutegeera omuwendo gw'abaana abalina ekirwadde kino mu ggwanga lyonna n'obungi bw'eddagala eryetaagisa. Irene Namyalo abaddewo ng'ekifo kino kiggulwawo.
Simon Kauma nga wa myaka 14 alina kubeera ku ssomero kyokka olw'okuba yafunye obulumi kye batera okuyita ataaka tasobodde kusoma amala okukakkana. Bw'atyo alina okunywa ennyo obutafaali bwe busobole okuta ng'emu ku nzijanjaba eyeetaagibwa eri omulwadde ow'ekika kino.
Oli eri nga nnumizibwa mu magumba n'amabwa agandiko.
Nnyina mukkakkamu bw'ogeraageranya ne bwe yali emyaka egiyise nga tannamanya kitawaanya mwana we. Okutuuka bwe yaggyibwako omusaayi ne kikakasibwa nga bw'alina sickle cell n'okumubuulira ensijanjaba y'omwana ono.
Singa nakitegeererawo nandibadde nkola ki muwa eddagala mu biseera byabyo kubanga nali luli sirina kye mmanyi nga muwa kino nga muwa kiri.
Okunoonyereza kulaga nti abaana abali eyo mu 3,300 be bazaalibwa n'obulwadde bwa sickle cell buli mwaka kyokka ng'ebitundu 80 ku 100 eby'abaana bano tebasussa myaka 5.
Kijja tuyamba nga ministry okulaba abaana bameka abalwadde buno bulwadde district ki erina abaana basinga okulwala buno bulwadde bwa sickle cells. Kijja tuyamba okupulaninga n'okuleeta eddagala erinayamba abalwadde ba sickle cells mu ggwanga lino kubanga kati tetumanyi muwendo, tetumanyi abaana ki abalwadde mu districts ki, so tubadde tuli mu gesi kulowooza.
Emu ku nsonga eviirako kino kwe kuba nti ekibaluma kibeera tekimanyiddwa bwe batyo ne bataweebwa bujjanjabi bwetaagibwa. Olwaleero ekitongole ky'ebyobulamu nga kikolaganira wamu n'eddwaliro ly'abaana erya Cincinnati okuva mu Amerika baguddewo ekifo awanaakeberebwanga omusaayi ogulina ekika kya sickle cell. Abajjanjabi okukeberebwa okw'ekika kino babadde bakukolera mu bifo eby'obwannannyini nga basasulayo ensimbi ezitaka wansi wa mutwalo. Irene Namyalo, NTV.
Webale nnyo Irene Namyalo. Bo abayizi mu University e Kyambogo akawungezi kano beesitudde ne beeyiwa ku kkooti enkulu e Nakawa nga baagala esazeemu okutikirwa kw'abayizi okugenda okubaawo ku Lwokuna lwa Ssabbiiti eno. Abayizi bano bagamba nti amannya gaabwe tegali ku nkalala z'abagenda okutikirwa wadde nga balumiriza nti baamalayo emizozo gyonna. Abayizi bano bakedde ku ttendekero era poliisi n'eyitibwa mangu okukuuma obukakkamu. Bo abakulira University bagamba nti abamu ku bayizi bano bakyalina ebibabanjibwa.
Tumaze okkiriyalinga buli kimu, ennaku z'omwezi zituuse ez'okugraduatinga batugamba mbu tetuli ku list. Kiki ekibatwalidde obudde bonna ebbanga lyonna lye babadde nga bamaze nga tebakiriyalinga nga tebafulumya final list nga graduation ya Lwakuna okulyoka okufulumya list ku Lwokubiri.
So we're asking ourselves what happened. How come we paid and we even wrote our names for graduation and no one is giving us answers? We've been here ever since 8 and no one is saying anything to us.
Buli omu tugenda soka tugende Nakawa. Bulira batuwulire kyetaagisa naye tufunyeko ebyetaagisa. Buli omu ajja leeta evidence eraga nti wayita obuyite manyi mwenna mubirina. Buli omu ajja leeta evidence eraga nti wasasudde. Muwulira.
Zino zi gurupu zino esatu. Gurupu esooka ebbiri. Abataayita n'abataasasula abo tebagenda kutikkirwa. Saagala tukirweko. Ode muganda wa? Bo tebagenda kutikkirwa. Saagala kiddamu. Abaana abaasasula ne bayita mu kasenge mukayita kakuŋŋunta kaaliwo ne kakoma ku lw'omukaaga oluyise luno saa 8.
Abo bayizi ku University ekyambogo era bategeezezza nti tebagenda kuseguka kuva ku kkooti okutuuka ng'ensonga zaabwe ziwuliriziddwa. Ababaka b'akabondo ka NRM mu Parliament bakalaatiddwa obutaziimuula ebyo byasaliddwawo ekyankwanzi nga ge mateeka y'ekibiina kwe kirina okutambulira. Mu byasaliddwawo mulimu ekyokuwagira President Yoweri Museveni okwesimbawo mu 2016 saako etteeka ku bisiyaga. Nampala w'ekibiina Kasule Lumumba ategeezezza nti oyo ayagala okuvuganya ne President Museveni wa ddembe okwesimbawo ng'olukiiko tabamiruka NEC lutudde.
Oluvannyuma lw'ababaka ba movement okulunga ennaku 10 ekyankwanzi waliwo ebyasalibwawo nga mwe mulina okuwagira President Museveni okwesimbawo mu kulonda kwa 2016. Nampala w'ekibiina kya NRM Justin Lumumba ategeeza amawulire olwaleero nti ababaka ba NRM kino balina okukigenderako.
Ffe ng'ababaka ba NRM abali mu Parliament okusinziira ku bibadde bigenda mu maaso ng'abamu ku bakulembeze mu NRM bagenda nga batetaganya abantu ba NRM eyo mu Uganda nga babagamba muwagire ono temuwagire ono, muwagire nze temuwagire oli.
Akugumbudde n'abavubuka batandise okuvaayo nga bagamba nti Ssaaba Minisita Mbabazi teyayisibwa bulungi nga ali ekyankwanzi era nti n'okuteeka omukono ku kiwandiiko yakakibwa bukakibwa.
So yataddeko omukono, yataddeko bulungi ekinkumu. Olunaku olwo yali tebaddeeko yadde mwenge. Olunaku olwo buli omu yali alidde bulungi nga kkuse. Twateesa musana tewali kiro. Olupapula yalussaako omukono nga buli omu alaba. Misana tukutuku ate nga yali asoose kuyimirira kadaala n'ayogera. N'atubuulira obulungi bwa President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni.
Okwo kutabulatabula kwaya. Kubanga mukama waabwe mwennyini gwe balwanirira ye yataddeko. Bw'aba teyataddeko mu bulungi ajja akyogere mu bannayuganda.
Agujje nako.
Ajja agujjeko kuba atuyinza omukkiriza n'ajja ekitabo kikyali mu Government Chief Whip.
Lumumba agamba nti abaka abaali ekyankwanzi bwe batyo bwe baasalawo ku kya President Museveni naye wabaawo munnakibiina yenna ayagala okumwesimbako waddembe okwesowolayo mu lukuŋŋaana lw'ekibiina ttaamiruka bwe lunaaba nga lutudde.
Bonna abawulira nti bo baali yagadde okwesimbawo bajja kino ekiteeso kijja basangayo oba bajja kisangayo naye delegates conference yesalewo. So ababaka bavuddeyo ne bateesa ekiteeso kyabwe delegates conference ye kamala byonna.
Ababaka bano era bavumiridde President Obama wa America okulowooza nti ekyobutawa Uganda buyambi kinajijja ku mulamwa mu kaweefube w'okulwanyisa ebisiyaga.
Bwe babanga beetegefu otuwa obuyambi babutuwe naye bwe babanga obuyambi babutuwa nga bagamba nti tulina obuyambi bwe babutuwa tugende nga tugenda balina obutuwa nti olw'okuba tulina okuba nti tuli ebisiyaga okuvuga bannaffe obugaali n'ali basabye babusigaze.
President Yoweri Museveni atongozza enteekateeka y'okuzimba amakolero mu kitundu ky'e Luweero ng'egenda kumalawo obukadde bwa $America eziri mu 300. Amakolero ag'enjawulo gagenda kuzimbibwa mu kitundu kino omuli agagalongoosa ennyama n'ago agakola engoye. Abasasi baffe baakadda okuva e Kaweweeta era bino bye bimu ku bibaddeyo.
We pride ourselves on establishment of the first agriculture and livestock spatial economic zone, which will be a first in the world. Initial investment has been calculated as 300 million USD. Production of USA and Europe standard with advanced technology has been considered for the project.
I talked about beef cows and an abattoir. He would have his own cows here, but he would have outgrowers in the countryside. I talked about milk and dairy products. I talked about textiles, which is what he talked about in his document. I talked about fruits and fruit products. I talked about medicinal herbs and aromatic plants, all of which will be grown by him and also by the community and processed.
NTV akawungeza ekyagenda mu maaso tugenda kumulamu katono ddala naye katusooke tulabe akatale k'ensimbi bwe kayimiridde mu Kampala. Akatale k'ensimbi kakutuusibwako
Insurance Company of East Africa, ICEA, standing by you. Medical insurance. When your health takes an unexpected turn, our medical insurance policy will cover your medical expenses. Let's worry about the bills. Insurance Company of East Africa, ICEA, standing by you.
Tugenda kumulamu katono ddala bwe tukomawo tugenda kutangaza ku biki by'obusuubira nga Manchester City ne Barcelona zittunka omulundi gwazo gusookedde ddala ekiro kya leero.
What's that?
That document.
Oh, that. Just some business.
I came to apologize. I have no right to interfere in your lives.
I've eliminated the only evidence that links me to Ivan Chinawa's death.
But you didn't have to kill another person.
It's not like I've got anything to hide, Nene. Just go ahead.
Victoria, how is it like to work for Miles Filagazi?
Blood seemed to matter not.
Blood?
Yeah, blood.
I'm responsible for your father's death.
A wife who you got through the office will be very insecure about you working in another place.
Always hunt up, don't hunt down.
You mean what? Go after your superior?
How dare you suggest that when a woman is aggressed against, we should look at the person who's been aggressed against?
Let the couple be. Let them sort out their issues. When they need you, then you come in.
Prostitution is being given a new brand.
All I know is that I connect people.
Let's not choose to open our zips and do whatever our urge is, because I don't think that an urge is stronger than your will to say no.
People attach a lot of questions, shame to HIV.
I do not believe that when you wear a short dress, you should be erect.
Marrying a wife is like having assured sex.
Anytime you come, you must have.
Yes.
To raise a population that has no clue how to be men.
Can you bring out a quality family?
I don't get married for my family.
Men, every Wednesday only on NTV.
Gabriela is trapped in a collapsing mine and she is rescued by Alejandro, and underneath the rubble they fell in love.
Beautiful and iron-willed.
I told you 1,000 times not to put your hands on me! You're
mom working in a mine is nothing for you to be ashamed of. In fact, you should be very proud of it, honey.
But her destiny will be marked. Alejandro's ambitious mother becomes her worst enemy.
She was cast into prison, and all that she was left with was her memories of her son and the woman. Now she has to forge a way to revenge on the other side.
You don't have any way to prove it, darling. Andre Gurgel oversaw all the steps of my designs.
You mean you spent the very last of the money I had in this country? Now how am I supposed to get myself out of the mess you put me in, you imbecile?
Can't imagine what else you would possibly have to say to me about Leonardo.
No, I wanted to talk to you about Armando.
Well, I'm sure they truly care for each other. It's easy for anyone to see that. And besides, they've been together for a very long time now.
Want to have lunch?
I do, but I need to wake up first. It's too early to think about lunch. I didn't even have breakfast yet.
Listen to me, Horatio Cortez. And you learn that no man will ever dump me.
And the change of government won't stop a thing. I've run out of fingers counting the number of multinationals setting up here. What about the 3 companies that announced their plans to launch last week? I say they're shortly. Me, I'd be looking to sell. At what price? More. Much, much more. I don't know who you are or how you know these things, but one thing I'm sure of, you're in the wrong job. Here, call me tomorrow at 9 o'clock in the morning. I'd like to hear more from you.
Are you ready for your big break? The East African, understanding the region.
You're watching Morning at NTV.
The beauty of the day lies in the hopes that we have in it, the love that surrounds us, and the people that make us better in life. Good morning, Uganda. Good morning, Africa. And wherever you're joining us live, it's a beautiful Wednesday morning. Coming to you live from the Kampala Serena Hotel rooftop. My name is Brian Malondo, alongside 3 strong gentlemen, Simon Kasiate, Joel Senyonyi, and Daka Bachigongo, who will be joining us later for the sports segment. Let's get the morning started with the question of the day. There you go. Today's question of the day is, who was the 3rd president of Uganda? Please let us know on our forums. Morning at NTV is our Twitter handle. And you can go to our Facebook page, Morning at NTV. We're over 5,000 people that like this page. You can like it and also invite your friends to like it. But also send the SMS to 6565. The first 5 respondents will each walk away with a mug from Morning at NTV. So get those answers coming in. Now, let me take a breather. When I come back, I'll be with the stories that are making headlines. A very good morning to you, coming from the Kampala Serena Hotel rooftop.
You're watching Morning at NTV.
Thank you so much for joining us once again on air and online this beautiful Wednesday morning. I am Brian Mlondo, and these are the stories that are making headlines. Convicts of acts of pornography face up to 10 to 15 years in jail and fines between 10 and 15 million. Canadian government threatens to cut diplomatic ties with Uganda if the anti-homosexuality bill is signed into law. And the Ministry of Health and American researchers set up a sickle cell laboratory in Kampala.
You're watching Morning at NTV.
Thank you so much for joining us once again. Now, if convicted of acts of pornography, you could officially be profiled in the government registry. Convicts face up to 10 to 15 years in jail and fines between 10 and 15 million shillings. This as the anti-pornography bill became law. The President, Yoweri Museveni, assented to it on the 6th of February, the day of the NRM caucus that did open. In its state, the Anti-Pornography Act 2014 is now without any controversy.
Seated in a revolving chair with a sly smile, Ethics Minister Father Simon Lokodo appeared like a child ready to burst with a secret, which only he knew. It wasn't long before he let it out.
Finally, the infamous anti-pornography bill is law.
He did not hesitate in outlining what this implies.
Main gaps where insidious enticements, misleading behavior, and poisoning character of persons has been perpetuated.
The media has also not been spared.
We have had issues where we have publications on the tabloids, okay? Where children are having access to those on the streets. We are saying no more.
The law says anyone who publishes, produces, broadcasts, procures, imports, exports or abets any form of pornography is liable to a fine of 10 million Uganda shillings, about $4,000, or imprisonment not exceeding 10 years, or both punishments. Clause 14 considers more heinous child pornography, and this carries a heftier fine. Offenders face a fine of up to 15 million shillings, an equivalent of about $6,000, or imprisonment of not more than 15 years, or both. A warrant to search your premises will be issued if you're suspected to have pornographic material, including in computers. You'll be arrested as well, and obstruction will cause a fine of 5 million shillings, about $2,000, and you'll serve a jail term, or both. An internet service provider who fails to control pornography breaks the law and faces a fine of 5 million shillings, or up to 5 years in jail, or both.
Pornography should be restricted, but there's a social media, especially WhatsApp. There are so many dirty videos that go across there. I don't know how they're going to do that, which would be like abolishing WhatsApp in Uganda, which is impossible. Very impossible, unless I don't know, China managed to abolish Facebook.
But there is a part that is so overt, and it concerns women.
Even though it's a general bill that describes all sorts of pornography, there are fears that this bill is mostly going to affect the women.
Miriam Atembe, a women rights activist and a former ethics minister, asserts that the law is more oppressive in its treatment of women.
To say that it is the law which is going to enforce morality and ethical values in this country is mixing things. And I see girls being the sufferers of this. And they will be raped. The police will arrest these young girls. They will take them in police cells. They will be raped. After all, we don't have prisons or cells for young people.
But that's not really fair.
Lokodo insists that the dress code has degenerated and should be checked, something Matembe, who has been victim before during Amin's regime, disagrees with.
If you dress in such a way that you irritate the mind and excite the people, then you are badly dressed.
Let me tell you this nonsense of enticing. I don't want to hear that nonsense of enticing, because one thing I know is that God made us different from animals. God gave us what they call self-control.
You draw the attention of the other person outside there with a malicious, purpose of inciting and stimulating him or her into sex.
These men out there who are sleeping with their children of 12 years, 6 years, 5 years, are they being enticed? Those boys who are raping their grandmothers and mothers, are they being enticed?
By definition, the Act describes pornography as representation through publication, exhibition of a person engaged in real or stimulated explicit sexual activities, or representation of the sexual parts of a person for sexual excitement.
The whole body of a person may be a sexual part, depending on who is saying sex. Because for me, as far as I'm concerned, the best sexual part of a person, of a man, it is his penis, and the woman, it is vagina. Now, if you are going to say buttocks are sexual parts, thighs are sexual parts, then the breasts are sexual parts, then you better put the mouth which kisses, because it is a sexual part, and then you dress it.
However, there are exceptions to what is considered pornographic, like teaching aids and other medical apparatus, and couples fulfilling their conjugal rights.
So long as it is done, of course, behind walls. If it is in a cultural practice that is meant to expose the cultural beauty of that community, it's let to go. If you are in the beach, in sports, very often you are scarcely dressed, especially you ladies.
He says that, in this case, if anyone loses track of the game, then it's their fault. That aside, anyone convicted will be registered as an offender, even when the fine has been cleared. Florence Salimba, NTV.
Now moving on, the Canadian government has threatened to cut off all diplomatic ties with Uganda if the anti-homosexuality bill is signed into law. Uganda's ambassador Alintuma Nsambu says he was summoned on Monday by Canadian foreign officials to explain why Canada should not take such a step. Nsambu says if signed, several Western countries could isolate Uganda.
The information that we have is mainly from the government of Canada. I was summoned into the Ministry of Foreign Affairs yesterday to explain why Canada should continue with the bilateral relationship with the government of Uganda. Uganda decided to violate the basic human right of a section of Ugandans through this anti-homosexuality bill. I told them that democracy does not mean that you decide to choose what pleases you or not. If Parliament so decided, there is nothing I could do as a High Commissioner to change that. In this case, they mean they want to cut diplomatic ties with Uganda, and Canada is taking a leading role in mobilizing the international community to isolate Uganda. It starts with the expelling diplomats from their capitals and eventually other things. So I actually don't know how they are going to execute this whole thing, but the way it appears, Uganda is going to be isolated by some countries in Europe and the United States and Canada.
And finally, the Ministry of Health, in collaboration with American researchers, have set up a sickle cell laboratory in Kampala to carry out in-depth research. The health experts intend to use the facility at Buganda Road to map the prevalence of sickle cells across the country. Irene Namyaro reports.
Simon Kauma is a 14-year-old primary 7 pupil who has missed school for 2 days because of the sickle cell attack. He is now catching up on what he missed at school and taking lots of G's to get over his condition.
I'm feeling the pain in the bones and the wounds on the leg.
Simoni's mother has learned to deal with her child's condition and is much calmer than she was before. She got to know about the disease after Simon got tested many years after his condition had advanced.
I wouldn't have suffered with his treatment so much. I just did not know what to give him.
It is estimated that 33,000 babies are born with the sickle cell disease each year. 70 to 80% of these babies never live to celebrate their 5th birthday. But this data was generated in the early 70s, which means the figures may have drastically shot up. One of the lead causes of the escalation of sickle cell is the lack of early diagnosis and management. The Ministry of Health, together with researchers from America's Cincinnati Children's Hospital, have launched a national sickle cell survey and testing laboratory at the Central Public Health Laboratory in Kampala.
Evidence gathered from this survey will enable us to plan as a ministry and institute appropriate interventions to handle this public health challenge. By doing so, we shall be aligning ourselves to the global agenda aimed at combating the sickle cell anemia in the high-burden countries, of which Uganda is one.
The laboratory is meant to reduce the sickle cell disease incidence in Uganda.
But this first phase, we are testing every child who is HIV exposed. Every child born to an HIV positive mother.
What about those who are not born to HIV positive?
Those who are not born to HIV positive mothers, if they have clinical signs suggestive of sickle cell, they will be tested.
Sickle cell is a hereditary disease that babies acquire from their parents' genes. The disease, however, can be avoided if parents know their cell carrier status before marriage. Irene Namialo, NTV.
Now, those are some of the stories that are making headlines. Coming to you live from the Kampala Serena Hotel rooftop, we'll be back with the press review. Tremendous, wonderful Wednesday morning, the 19th day of February 2014, and yes, coming to you live from the rooftop of Kampala Serena Hotel with a wonderful skyline and the rising sun. Yes, it's morning at NTV with a press review this morning. Interesting happenings in the Daily Monitor. It's nothing but full of corruption stories. You better get yourself a copy of the newspaper. I'll not start from the front page today before I introduce my panel of usual suspects, or should I say eminent press review personalities. Brian Mulondo. Good morning, guys. You're fine?
Joe, I am joking this morning. Do I? Yep. Oh, sent you. And I can see you keeping up with the bow tie thing. It's really... This guy's doing an awesome job.
Now, President Yoweri Museveni has looked into the face of his government officials and called them wolves. President Museveni has said, you who work in government are like wolves. You're always out to fail government programs. And this is a story that's featuring in the Daily Monitor, in the inside pages, page 13 to be very exact. Now, if the president capitulates that his government officials are like wolves, just not so long ago he capitulated in a different capacity and visiting a neighboring country that Uganda's government is filled with nothing but thieves. What is left of this man to expunge the entire government? Or he fears that tsunami that would sweep his entire government structure could sweep him as well.
You see, whenever I hear such talk, I am fairly ambivalent that it will precipitate any kind of action. The president has always come out and say, you guys are thieves and so on, etc., etc. A lot of talk, yeah, but we never see action at the end of the day. So I'm thinking whether you call them wolves, call them thugs, call them whatever it is, but for as long as you don't crack the whip, it's all talk and no work at all.
Whip being cracked
where about exactly?
There's some whip being cracked at the Uganda Development Bank where their chief executive officer, this lady or Jangole, has been suspended, for to pave way for investigations. You remember this lady who's been dancing to the music of the anti-corruption court for fraud in the Uganda Development Bank.
But when we put this into perspective, Simon, how much money has she stolen? And this is one among, I don't know how many, for example.
Without discussing the merits or the demerits of this case, because it's a case before the courts of law, we also have, interestingly, an official from the Inspectorate of Government who is under probe over fraud. And guess what? His name is Muriagonja Stephen. Any relationship with the current IGG? That is yet to be confirmed because, after all, the spokesperson of the IGG's office doesn't seem to know whether or not they are related. But let's put this disclaimer, which is also found in the story in the Daily Monitor. This Stephen Muriagonja, who is accused of playing around with the payroll system and depositing money not meant for the purposes for which it's being deposited, has been at the IGG for over 10 years. And let's remember the IGG, Daily Justice Muriagonja has only been there for, less than a year.
We keep handling thieves, and you see, we need to begin using the right words. Yeah, I know we tend to say siphoning, misappropriation, and what. No, let's call these people what they are. They are thieves, abashuma. But more importantly, we need to crack the whip, because we keep talking about let's fight corruption. Now we are going to deal with it and that kind of thing. What are we doing? What are we doing to fight it?
A law-abiding country. There are judicial systems that are supposed to handle issues of corruption. There is the anti-corruption code. We've got the IGG,
which have all been emasculated.
Committee where someone declared the high incompetence to lead it, but now somehow has accepted to lead it. We've got also many government paraphernalia. In fact, there is even a State House perhaps advisor on corruption. But how come this remains a problem that bedevils this country?
You see, like I was saying, these institutions, they've been emasculated, but for the reasons, because who appoints who is in charge of these institutions, for example? At the end of the day, if I am appointed by you, Simon, for example, you are going to call the shots and tell me now, Joel, do this, do the other, whether we know about it or we don't. And that's the way it is. So we need to see how can these people get appointed differently by either certain commissions and that kind of thing. I think it's too much to ask for the president. It even puts him in a precarious situation if he's the one to appoint. Even when the judges rightfully say, okay, now this one is innocent, people will think, no, the president called and said, do not do this and that kind of thing. So he needs to lessen his work.
Brian, these corrupt government officials who have now been called wolves by the president, these officials who lead the Uganda Development Bank, this character that is now under probe in the Inspectorate of Government, where you are supposed to be, above certain issues, these are cut from the society from which all of us come from. Yes. What does that tell you about Ugandans on the whole? Are we a nice, good, God-loving and God-fearing and well-meaning
God and my country?
To the contrary, I think, first of all, we have all embraced corruption.
All of us?
It has become all right.
I'm telling you. If you talk to people, they will say, as long as you don't get caught, that's good for you. But also, I want to relate this to institutional breakdown. Kenya had to come up with a commission to approve judges.
And that's the way it should be done.
It was left to the, the president had to decide.
So much so that we have got an acting chief justice and who is the same as the acting deputy chief justice. So clearly,
and I think the president needs to kind of distance himself from some of these things.
Lessen his work.
Yes.
Discussing corruption would lead us to sunset, yet we still have to give you some interesting tidbits for your morning. Now let's get down to some other interesting bits of news coming in from the Daily Monitor this morning. Obama's views are stirring a fierce online debate. Yes, remember that statement where President Obama said that the enactment or the signing of this bill into law will complicate the otherwise valued relationship between Uganda and the USA. Well, Ugandans have taken to social media and use Ugandan speak. Given it to him. You should read the comments that are here.
Obama has enough on his plate. Let him chew on that, deal with it. Back home, things are not all right for him. The economy is plummeting nearly on a daily basis, and so many other things that he needs to put in order.
It's not only you tweets or Facebookers that are giving it to Obama. Even the NRM is slamming Obama on the anti-gay bill. And this story is in the Daily Monitor this morning.
That particular one is working for them. There's something I find interesting here. The president assented to the anti-pornography bill, and I can see the minister here.
The Reverend Father, my namesake,
I'll tell you, Simon, yes. Simon. You say, I think we are making a statement and saying we were saying this is wrong, yeah? But at the end of the day, I'm not too sure that if we are to legislate against pornography, that's not like a magic bullet, or even though it's good that we make a statement, because it's a precarious situation. Every once in a while on Kampala Road, I see girls who either have Kakundi show, Kagongo show, they are just almost dressed. Now, I don't know whether material for clothes is expensive or that kind of thing. Even when they try to wear long skirts, they have slits that come all the way up until further notice.
Let's look at your mobile phone. It has become, it has been getting slimmer and slimmer. I think that's the way to go. I used to wear long, huge ties. Now I wear the little bow tie. Perhaps soon I will have no tie at all. So I think we're getting down to minimizing on how much resources we can waste.
I guess, but you see, for me, it goes back to the family. Families need to play their role. Parents, for that matter. I don't think government is going to do a very good job here. It's okay to make a statement through a bill like this one.
Yes.
But families, parents like yourselves, you need to reach out to your children, show them the way to do things. That's how we'll, keep our heads afloat.
You are out to really get us on that footing. But let's get down to the Observer this morning. Remember, the Observer is your tri-weekly newspaper, deep on analysis and deep on interesting stories. Now, let's get down to news coming in from the NRM caucus. Remember that caucus that sat in Changkwanzi not so long ago? Well, 22 resolutions out of there, but most glaring was the endorsement of President Yoweri Museveni as the sole flag bearer for this party come the 2016 general election. Now, NRM youth have rejected this. They say you're not going to impose onto us that man. In fact, our choice is the Prime Minister, Right Honorable Amama Mbabazi. Now, I do not know, perhaps you need to get yourself a copy of the Observer, why the choice is Amama and not Museveni. If the youth are the ones making the judgment, is Amama
How many youth are you talking about, for example?
Well, he's
done his mobilization, by the way. He's done his groundwork over time and apparently was becoming a threat to the president. Whether that will, merit as something at the end of the day, I'm not too sure. I think his hands are now tied. He signed that form.
Number 202.
So number 202.
Well, he possibly could have been pulling a bluff. You know, politics. You say one thing.
There is that too. There's that too. But between you and I, it's a tall order for him.
Politicians don't speak as much truth as we, the
I
journalists.
must give credit to Amama because he's kind of in touch with the youth. He tweets a lot. He tweets a lot. And when you want to...
But he doesn't go partying.
Of course he doesn't. He doesn't go partying.
He doesn't show up for concerts like
now in touch with
Mr. Olarotuno does.
He doesn't have a rap.
Exactly, he doesn't have a rap. He needs to get down some rapping. Well, you, Honorable Professor Gilbert Bukenya, you may have to answer as to why you were not at that Changkwanzi caucus. Why? You're a member of the NRM. All NRM members of parliament were there. Why were you not there? That's the story in the Observer this morning.
He was actually saying it's an illegal meeting that endorsed a candidate illegally.
Yeah. He just realized it's illegal now. When he was attending the previous ones, how come he never came out to say sorry?
And that's the same thing that is happening to Amama Mbabazi. You know, previously he's the one who has always been at the forefront of this whole no succession debate and that kind of thing. Let it now come back to bite him.
An interesting interview here coming in from a positive note, but which note we may need to put him to serious task. Who are we talking about? Remember him? Mr. Pius Bigirimana, the former permanent secretary in the office of the Prime Minister. He's now a permanent secretary in the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development. And now he says in the Observer this morning that the new youth fund will be efficient. We need to take this to the
So is he actually admitting that the previous ones have been lackluster? I don't know. But you see, this youth fund thing, the trouble is we come out and say we are going to give youth a little money here and there, stipends. And what do these young people do? They eat it. If you're going to say we're going to give 20 million shillings to a group of 10 youth, that's about what, 2 million shillings each. They'll take it to sports betting, drink it and that kind of thing. We need not give youth a handout. We need to give youth a hand up. Let's strengthen things the way they are.
What is a hand up as opposed to a handout?
A handout is a get where you begin to get up. And I think we need to do that a lot more for the youth. Otherwise, how many youth are we going to be giving money anyway?
But Joel, this sounds very good, nice speaking. We need to create an enabling environment. What are you talking about exactly? It's an enabling environment. You can wake up at 6 a.m., come to
a show like this one.
Exactly. We have the liberalization of the airwaves, so that's why all of us are not at the
and how many people are in a position like yours, for example?
Well, there can only be one president, there can only be one TV presenter at any one given time. Yeah, so, I mean, what else are you going to create for the others who don't have the opportunities we have?
You know, we've been talking about this whole industrialization thing and so on. I'm thinking we have talked quite a bit about it. Can we critically invest in our economy so that it begins to thrive? We spend recklessly on things that we need not. And
like what? Like alcohol? In the Observer this morning.
In this country, we drink more alcohol than milk.
Well, there is an interesting story in the Observer for your own taking in health and living where they say why you need to consider quitting alcohol. I don't think the breweries will like this story much, but there you are.
Well, they protested the taxes that were levied on them, and
I'm not among the statistics.
No, you're not telling us about
the Red Pepper this morning comes with a very shocking headline, and they say that NRM is planning to postpone the 2016 election.
Postpone or cancel them altogether?
Cancel, actually. And a
couple of people from the opposition
are drafting a bill called the Presidential Parliamentary and Local Council Extension Bill 2014.
Now I can bet my inheritance if at all I have any. That bill,
you have some bow ties.
That bill will see the light of day because whoever would want to oppose it is actually in a position where they will benefit. I mean, do you see an MP who stands to earn another 5 years without going through the house of an election saying no to this bill? Do you expect the district LC5 chairperson who sold their house to win that election to also want to go back into the fray after 5 years?
Right.
But you may need to consider for a moment, you, the politician that makes decisions for this country, do the things you do reflect your love and commitment and dedication to serve this country above self?
But you know the way politicians talk. Whatever I do for you. Whatever I earn for you.
But also, if you look at recently the Electoral Commission saying it didn't have enough money for the election.
Never has had enough money.
But we also had Mr. Olaro Tunu here telling you that they now, as the opposition, have put in place a robust 10 points that need to be looked into to create a formidable election. Now, government can argue that these robust 10 points cannot be done and catered for in the next 2 years. They need about 7 years to handle this. Hence, the next election will be in 2021.
Yeah, we have mastered the art of waiting to do things last minute. But I saw the Electoral Commission is also fronting some reforms. Two of them stood out for me. One, they were saying that they want to have 2-term limits for women representatives and then special group interest representatives. And I was thinking, okay, they will get a backlash from the ladies especially, but also no fundraising for political parties and individuals. They want government to fund political parties. And I was thinking,
when they say government funds political parties, it means you and I, the taxpayers, pay the bill. Now, for you who is waiting for a handout, like Joel said, do not wait at all. Simply get yourself a copy of the Daily Monitor and read Seeds of Gold, how you can use that ground you're standing on to make some money for yourself. Sports in the red pepper. Well, Brian, the Red Pepper always has some very interesting sports here.
Wednesday and of course Tuesday and Wednesday are Champions League nights, and later we'll be looking at that with Dakabachum. But today Arsenal take on Bayern Munich. I can't wait.
What are predictions?
My prediction is that we're going to win that game 2-1.
As if you could say any better. 2-1.
Arsenal.
Well, there is an interesting poll out in the Daily Monitor called Homes, and there is an insightful story therein of the things you should know before signing that tenancy agreement. Many of you are living under a hellish existence thanks to your landlords or landladies, where you default for one day and the iron sheet right above your bed is pulled off for non-payment. What do you have in the sports in the Daily Monitor?
Yeah, and it's not even too different from, say, we have representatives from here, government or whichever. They go to some of these countries, China, they're given very nice tea, 5-star hotel treatment, and then at the end of the day, they bring papers sign, and they sign and sail away our country. We need to be more careful.
Tremendously. So now that brings us to the end of our press review this morning here, morning at NTV, right from the rooftop of Kampala Serena Hotel. There's tremendous sport in the Daily Monitor and the Observer. Get yourself a copy and enjoy your day. Let's be back with a big story.
Every idea we have begins with you. The way you connect.
Good morning.
How you browse. How you share. And how you interact with the world around you.
Your relationship with your God is the most important thing.
Have a company of people who have got a similar mindset.
How do you want people to think, feel, and act after your talk? In other words, what's your objective?
You inspire everything. Because in the end, innovation doesn't really matter unless it does something that really matters to you. And we are HTC.
Oluvannyuma lwa lutalo abaana bangi batwalibwa ab'ekika era bulala basigadde
abamu bajja ne babakima
era twagende mu Lukola eyo ina Kasongola mu Buluri twagende mu Butale babalaaro okubuuza omwana oyo mumanyi
nti mukwate obutonde obwekonkome mukwate obutonde bwa Ebola mubuteeke mu nsigo omuzungu ayogedde palamenti buyise bosi basajja
omulembe guno gutuusemu n'abantu n'entondo kati waliwo n'emyaka egy'entondo
waliwo yakiŋŋamba
bamugamba muŋŋambe bulungi kati munkwate empola
dokita buli akwata bayibuli eno ajja kusomera bintu nga ye bw'alowooza. For example, waliwo controversy yaliwo
tobeera mu ssuuti ate n'oteeka mu gganduula
olina kubeerako kimu
kubanga okusomesezza tumaze emyaka 2 tusomesa bannayuganda eddembe lyammwe mulimanyi oluusi n'obusobozi obulina nakulabira abaganda
baagala kabaka
Gabriela is trapped in a collapsing mine, and she is rescued by Alejandro, and underneath the rubble, they fell in love.
Beautiful and iron-willed.
I told you 1,000 times not to put your hands on me! Your mom working in a mine is nothing for you to be ashamed of. In fact, you should be very proud of it, honey.
But her destiny will be marked. Alejandro's ambitious mother becomes her worst enemy.
She was cast into prison, and all that she was left with was her memories of her son and the woman. Now she has to forge a way to revenge on the other side.
Yo!
Aro, give me 5 stress, 3 gonorrhea.
Kale muli wano, you think you've brought campasas? Omwana yena sobola gamba super deep. Si myaka jaffe.
I'm like, I like my swag too. So what about it? Then she was like, I also like your accent. That village accent. Now.
Kati mwagala mchimi video wana kuza kele chili chianu chili okay wale tinsanyu fu weneka political tayakana nomuzanga nakajawa.
Kati nekambuza mukabete why are you crying? Nekagamba abasajja je bafulumiza mu lukwago.
I think I'm Big Mitch. Larry Hoover. Put that in Kiprotichi's accent.
I think I'm Big Mitch. Larry Hoover.
You're watching Morning at NTV.
A very good morning once again. In case you're just joining us, this is Morning at NTV. From wherever you're watching us, we are coming to you live from the rooftop of Kampala Serena Hotel. My name is Simon Kasiate. And now it's the big story. On Monday this week, we had an interesting conversation. A case where we in the media continue to perpetuate suspects as though they are criminals. We always swallow the bait by the police, root, stock and branches, simply because they parade to us suspects and we beam them off as criminals. Every Monday the police has a press conference, and I can always bet that there will be a parade of 1 or 2 suspected criminals, but whom we beam to the rest of the world as indeed bona fide criminals, only for them sometimes to turn out to be innocent or they argue their case. We're in a country that's stuck to live by the rule of law, where someone is presumed innocent until they are proven guilty. But the million-dollar question is, why then does the police parade suspects and present them as hardcore criminals? To discuss this very interesting story and many other developments in the security of this country, I have with me the commander of the Kampala metropolitan area. Do you need any prizes for guessing what his name is? Well, Afande Felix Kawesi, good morning and welcome to the show.
Good morning to you, Simon.
You're looking extremely heavily peeped. For a moment you're about to stoop because of the weight of peeps on your shoulders. Congratulations, I've not met you since you received all these accolades.
Sure, you're welcome.
Felix, why do you guys parade people to the media and declare them criminals even when they should be presumed innocent until the judicial process declares them as such, as guilty?
Well, thank you, Simon, and good morning, viewers. First of all, welcome back to NTV.
The man is dodging my question by exchanging a lot of interesting please.
Many fans of NTV have been missing you, and it's a pleasure to have you back.
Is that what you picked from your investigations as police? Let's proceed.
Well. I just to straight to your question. First of all, I would actually ask you, why do the media look for these people and portray them in the public as criminals? We never parade suspects as criminals. They are suspects until they are paraded in the courts of law and proved guilty or innocent. And that's the procedure. However, I think because of the technological advancement, that you don't need even to call the media to see the suspects as you do the operations. The media will always be there, and they will portray I've arrested hundreds, and that's in that general bracket, you find people take them as criminals, but in actual sense they are suspects. And by the way, all of us are potential suspects.
I understand, but then you do not portray people as criminals. I'll give you a case.
No, they're not criminals. I don't want you to use that word.
Now, so you're trying to pass the buck to the media in terms of blame, that the media is out always scavenging and trying to squeeze out any little story they can find, and therefore when they find you in a swoop, or when they find you issuing a press conference where you say these are suspected carjackers, then the media quickly runs to exaggerate and say these are the car thieves.
Well,
like one of the deities in the local languages will always scream, Baba no, or who no, this is the criminal.
Well, I think the procedure is, police carries out operations, and those operations are not really operations to cover up. They are subject to public view and scrutiny, and the media portrays it. So if you are caught in those operations, innocent or guilty, you will still be paraded as a suspect.
No, but you see,
the vindication in this, vindication is this, that there is a process of screening. There are those who are screened out before they are even paraded in courts of law, before the courts of law. And there are those who are screened out even before they are taken to courts of law.
No, but tell me, Felix, let's be very honest here. On a Monday, when you call this press conference and parade, guys you picked up over the weekend for carjacking, alleged rape, alleged defilement, alleged murder, and you present them to the media, you are presenting them so they can be beamed across the newspapers, on televisions, to warn the public against the potential danger these people cause unto them. And you're infringing on their right to privacy, even before you can prove that they are wrong against those crimes that you accuse them of.
Well, I think that's the one perspective you are looking at the issue. But the issue remains, we do not call the media and say, come and see what we have done over the weekend. But we tell the media, inform the media and say, and inform the public that over the weekend we have been carrying out operations, and this shouldn't actually alarm the public. And then you come, then you come and say, how many did you round up? We said 50.
What are their profiles?
Then you begin saying, who is there, and you photograph them, and they end up in the media. But the general position is, we do not portray suspects as criminals.
Many times we have seen your officers aiding the media in trying to pull up the chin of a suspect who's trying to cover themselves and say, look into the camera, look, let them show your face. Isn't that an infringement?
Well, I think if the officers do it, it is.
You may need to take a look at that video.
I have seen that of the lady who was arrested for having, I think, tried to inject a child with HIV.
Absolutely.
I remember.
And many other criminals. And suspects always try to cover their faces, and the police helps us.
Well, I think you are the one who actually motivated these officers to do that.
The blame is back to us. We don't seem to get over this. So in that case, what do you intend to do further to protect those suspects against unfair exposure, as well as the overzealousness of we in the media to capture faces and portray them as hard-no criminals, to sell our newspapers, to create viewership for our TVs?
Two things to be done. One, definitely those excesses where the police officers go to the extreme and pull out people's faces for media to take their photographs, that's wrong. And I think that's infringement on people's rights. However, I don't think, Simon, you have been rounded up in these operations.
I've been so lucky.
I think you have been a law-abiding citizen.
Well, not quite a money lucky not to be caught.
No. Quite many law-abiding citizens have not found themselves in those circumstances, those situations, and that states that it's maybe those who actually have question marks that are always found in those under such circumstances.
Well, you just said all of us are potential criminals.
I would really confirm this, that nobody is presumed to be a criminal unless he's proved guilty.
In your business, you issue commands. Look at the police officers who are watching us from the comforts of their home or wherever, and tell them, please do not aid journalists in parading suspects as criminals. Tell them.
Well, I think you have said it all. They
won't hear it from the commander.
I can only underline it. And we have done this. Quite a number of orders have been given on how to handle suspects, not putting them under car seats. We have communicated to them. Orders are very clear on how to handle suspects.
This was before this incident, I think, at City Hall with the lawyer for the Lord Mayor.
No, quite some. These orders have been on for some time. But
only
of
that
course,
enforcement is
no, the enforcement is on, but it is human.
Very good.
Yeah.
Now, there's more than just exposing criminals that is a problem bedeviling the Ugandan police. There's an increasing wave of violent crime. And in very recent past, in the last 1 or 2 weeks, the police has lost 2 senior officers in such incidences. So much so that has now precipitated and dictated upon them to take a new hard knock measure. Shoot to kill. I've heard something like that, Felix. What's this?
Well, maybe you are changing the semantics and say shot to kill. Maybe I can say, if that's a better word, I can say shot to live.
Wait a minute. That's on your side?
Yes.
Okay, on our side,
you shoot
get
to
shot
live. If you are saying shot to kill sounds more alarming. It is all the same.
We've seen you coming up with a new strategy. Now, you find violent crime taking place, the best thing you can do is shoot without much question.
Well, violent crime is perpetuated by armed gangs. There are quite many bad guys on the streets. These guys have acquired the guns, and the first person they're looking for is the cop on the street with a gun. Shoot the cop, get the gun, have more in your stock, and proceed with your criminal acts. So the police, and I don't want to go much into the law, but police is a law enforcement agency.
Yes.
Mandated to carry firearms while on duty. Otherwise, the makers of this law would have said we should carry cameras.
What are you trying to? Are you trying to justify the
I'm saying
of the firearms?
When you get a gun, it means the framers, in their wisdom, or lack of it, said that there are so many bad guys on the street. So you may not actually survive these guys you are fighting to arrest or get.
Hence the move to have this.
Now, the situation we are in now, these guys are so desperate. And why are they so desperate? Quite a number of these guys who have been serving, who are suspects of Wembley operations 10 years ago, are all back on the streets.
And back to their old habits.
Yes, they have served their jail sentences.
And have learned nothing.
And now have learned nothing. They are back into society. They want to get tools of work. And now they are looking for guns.
But supposing, because the fear is there could be tremendous collateral damage of an innocent bystander who you possibly says, hands up, and he possibly wants to pick his mobile phone because it's ringing, and you think he's pulling out a gun and you shoot them. Or that I give you false information and say, Brian Mulondo in that house is heavily armed, get in there, and the moment you knock onto that house, he lays open, you open fire on him. Or that a political opponent tells you there is somebody behind there who has got a gun, you go and shoot them. Don't you get bothered that this may backfire on your side and end up causing more harm than it actually is supposed to avert?
Well, we are very, very much cognizant of that. And we take due precautions, serious precautions before we really act. And that's it. The procedure has it that you have to give a warning shot. You have to give a command, hands up. If
you read the riot act?
We are going to
normally these incidents take place in a space of seconds.
Yes,
how
but
do you
you
have the time to do all
see, this is when the suspect has respect for your orders. But in the event the suspect shoots at you, then you don't need to warn.
You just go.
You have to shoot. And the law is very clear. And under what circumstances a police officer should use a firearm. And this is, when you use a firearm, you may actually shoot not to kill.
Yeah, but for the most part, you're always on such places, always apologizing and saying, oh, error is human, simply because 1 or 2 of your cops have gone against this dictate and used their firearm in ways that do not conform to this principle of, shoot to protect yourself, but rather shoot to kill and destroy.
Well, I don't know. The Ugandans, see, this job of law enforcement is quite very interesting. When you don't do your job, you are blamed for inactiveness.
When you do your job,
when you do your job very well, you're being high-handed. So it's on the scale of a balance that the public has to judge. But I want to assure the public that we are ready, much ready, to defend and protect the peace and really have people stay in a very tranquil environment.
Talk about tranquil environment. Every other day we receive terror alerts from your side and from other places that seem to know what's happening in this part of the country more often than not. To what extent is this threat of terror upon us real?
But you see, Simon, that is actually symbolizes superiority on our side. If we are able to detect and able
is it
prevent.
always true, Felix, or you sometimes create these alarms so that you can get some operational funds and then move on and have a good life?
Well, I think that's your perception.
No, it's not a perception. I've seen it in the press. Some local newspaper has been, in the last 1 week, showing wonderful palazzos, mansions, mansionettes belonging to humble police officers like
are they meant to be poor?
That's the million-dollar question. You're always crying that your salaries are not being paid. We
also
look at your salaries and look at the properties you have, and we see a huge disparity.
That is an issue of the Inspector General of Government. That's not an issue of public judgment. If the officers own
shall we get much justice from the Inspector General of Government in the case where we have the accountant
Simon, just back to the issue of fighting violent criminals. Sure, it's a real war on the streets. And we are very determined. First, we have to defend. And you know.
But Felix, do you have enough men to face this Herculean task?
We do very well.
Every day you're recruiting.
I can tell you, the motive of these criminals shooting at police officers is actually to demoralize others. You say that now it's quite risky for you to be on the streets.
Or to be a police officer.
Or to be a police officer, per se. But we know that. And for us, the more our people are shot at, the more motivated we are to go in and get those who actually want to take over.
What has been your success rate, Felix? Many times people claim their loved ones have been killed. Recently, a university student was killed in murder most foul, and the killer has yet to be found. In fact, all the attempts to reach the police have been, oh, we are carrying out investigations. There's a sluggishness. You know, you're speaking hard here and nice, but the citizens seem to say you are doing too little, too late.
Let me just give you a short analysis of this. Just recently, I was at a forum, which I don't want to disclose here, and we were making a presentation together with the Commissioner General of Prisons. He made a very passionate appeal to government
to increase the size of
the police has continuously made successes, and this definitely has a very, very big impact on his institution.
Because you are overflooding.
The prisons are overflooded. He can't feed them. He cannot. He has a very small workforce. And now that if you want to audit police success,
check
you
the
just
prisons.
check with the prisons.
Or the morgue, since now you are shooting to kill. Andrew Felix Kawesa, they are very interesting man and very eloquent with the gift of the tongue. Now let's get down to police recruitment, retention, remuneration, and of course general welfare. For the most part, people think that those guns we find in the hands of thugs and the otherwise wrong hands sometimes come from the police, because the police is trying to subsidize their high cost of living by creating other avenues to earn some money. You are carrying out recruitment, fair enough. But are you able to retain and properly remunerate and provide proper welfare to those that are already in service?
Two things. One, police is not a job. Being a police officer, you actually, if you join the police and say, I've got a job to be a police officer, it's a misrepresentation.
Hey, what is it?
It's a service.
Oh, so it's journalism.
You get it? Yes. and I really don't want to say that my energy and commitment can be actually valued in terms of what I earn. And if I was to look at it in terms of monetary gain, I would actually be lost. So it's a service, a national service. That's why in some countries you have a specific period of time you serve and leave. because
Here
it
you
is the
serve
national
till you
service.
retire.
But we are still building. We are still building. Time will come when
so
we need
in other
to-
words, you're telling those officers of yours and all your colleagues in the force that this is not a job where they should expect to earn, but this is a service where they must sacrifice beyond self, must do it at their own peril, suffer, but ensure that they continue serving
well,
without
a
batting an
service
eye.
goes with suffering. If it is a public service, it will come with suffering. It will come with self-denial on issues that you really take to be very.
To what extent do you think your
pertinent.
officers believe that they are sacrificing or that they're offering a service? Because for the most part, we get extorted by them, we are robbed by them, we are not served by them because they expect you to give them an inducement. And yet at the same time, our taxes are cut off our salaries to ostensibly pay you.
Simon, I try to avoid generalization. I don't think all officers are really rogues and bad.
Nobody said all of them.
When you say officers, I think
should have said some.
There are quite a few bad apples. And these ones, they are as bad as any other members of the public. By the way, we are not saints. We come from the society.
I've heard all this all too often.
And if you get, if you, like at the point of entry, it's garbage in, garbage out. If you get wrong guys, you don't expect to get sense out of them. We give them training.
That's what the word training is
Training
supposed
only
to
changes them, but actually can make them more professional in their criminalities. Yes.
So they are able to know how
they
to
get
get
skills, they get more to know what the institution does, and they will always beat the system. So that's why we do some vetting at the entry level. But still, you know, the society. Corruption is not only attributed to one institution. It's cancerous. It requires a robust approach. No, and it's not only one institution directed. It's really a national problem, and which I think we shouldn't debate here much in details, because
after all, we don't even have much of the time. But now, Felix, one final shot at you. Assure the country to the extent of how safe they are with regard to your ability to keep them safe.
The
Should we
public
worry?
outside there, be very, very assured that the police is prepared. As always, we have gone through days which we are almost putting people on tenterhooks that the day would not come, the fall. We've had really running battles here in the city, and people in the city some people thought that the city was becoming ungovernable. We are out of that era.
Another time I would invite you to discuss how you could city issues.
And
because there
I
are many
can assure you
allegations.
these spats of shootings here and there. And by the way, there were just 2 incidents in the previous, recent time.
Yes.
One was an engagement of our officers with criminals who are hiding in a house, and we lost one. That's out of crossfire. It's inevitable. The other, they were never directed their attention to the officer, but the officer also made some operational error and put himself in the harm's way and was shot.
Tremendous.
So, but the assurance is the public is safe, and we are more energized than before. When we see ours being shot, we become more energized, and we vote to get down to these bad guys and get them.
Maybe to sound a bit more cynical, if you think the police is getting a bit sluggish, shoot them more so they can get more energized and more vigilant in order to protect us. Let's take a short break. When I return, it's Simon Says. Simon Says this morning. Folks, let's take a look at these images playing out on your TV. What you're seeing over your TV took place on February the 17th in the morning after this show. And this is what I saw with my camera on my way home in a heavily trafficked area where one traffic police officer, Migude, he's an assistant lieutenant of police, Felix Kawesi here,
I know him,
knows him,
Migude.
found himself in a precarious situation. A Toyota Noah, registration number UAQ 667X, being driven by a private Uganda People's Defense Forces man, containing a female passenger, probably an MP, possibly, I suspect so, because of the way she was speaking with insolence and arrogance. took a wrong turn, took a wrong lane, caused a traffic hiccup, and did not budge police orders to join the queue, but instead pelted insults, some of which were geared at me. Because after all, I showed them that I was not going to budge and let them pass by me. I took pictures of them, and the lady in the car, the passenger, should I call her a lady? That female in the car said unto me, "Don't you realize this is a private car? Do you have to take pictures of it? What will you gain from exposing us?" Well, madam, I don't do this for the sake of money. I do it to let you know that on the roads, you're supposed, number one, to respect the police. They have their own follies. Some of them are quite unreasonable on the job. Many of them are very annoying, but they are police officers in Uganda Police Force uniform. We must respect them. And the rest can be handled at another forum because they have the police standards unit, that is professional standards unit, that is supposed to handle cases of insolence. When we are all on the road, we are one and the same. We should respect each other and behave with basic decorum. As for you, the Uganda People's Defense Force officer who was driving this car, this is a fellow colleague in the armed forces, and perhaps even a rank higher than you. You should have shown some kind of respect and basic decorum. That said, are we behaving ourselves before we blame the police of being high-handed? The answer is, you know yourself. You know how well you behave. We better learn to behave ourselves and let the police behave badly so that then we can have a case against them. But for as long as we behave badly, like Newton's third law of motion, for every action, there could be an equal but opposite reaction if equilibrium must be found. That said, this is Simon says, on this wonderful Wednesday morning, have a wonderful day. Wherever this day takes you, make sure that you're doing the right thing and being in the right place, or else you'll be paraded as the next suspected criminal on our TVs or in the newspapers. God bless.
What's that?
That document.
Oh, that. Just some business.
I came to apologize. I have no right to interfere in your lives.
I've eliminated the only evidence that links me to Ivan Chinawa's death.
But you didn't have to kill another person.
It's not like I've got anything to hide, Nene. Just go ahead.
Victoria, how is it like to work for Miles Vilagazi?
Blood seemed to matter not.
Blood?
Yeah, blood.
I'm responsible for your father's death.
She was molested when she was 6 by someone she trusted.
The doctors finally walked into the door. They basically were telling me that she had a 5% chance of living.
I couldn't understand how somebody that tells you they loved you, that held you as a child, could abuse you.
Tommy Scott grew up among gang violence, drugs, and poverty in the projects of South Central Los Angeles.
I felt not normal, not good. I wasn't lovable.
As a teen, Melissa discovered that drinking gave some relief.
Tommy is free today and continues to tell people that it was Jesus who changed his life.
The time I spent in prison, I spent putting my ideas together on, how I was going to come back and make it all right.
And I realized my purpose, that I was created to reflect the glory of God.
Duke now realizes why God kept him alive.
These were real people facing desperate situations, just like you and me.
Jesus died to set you free, and he can give you a new heart.
You don't have any way to prove it, darling.
Andre Gurgel oversaw all the steps of my designs.
You mean you spent the very last of the money I had in this country? Now how am I supposed to get myself out of the mess you put me in, you imbecile?
Can't imagine what else you would possibly have to say to me about Leonardo.
No, I wanted to talk to you about Armando.
Well, I'm sure they truly care for each other. It's easy for anyone to see that. And besides, they've been together for a very long time now.
Want to have lunch?
I do, but I need to wake up first. It's too early to think about lunch. I didn't even have breakfast yet.
Listen to me, Horatio Cortez. And you learn that no man will ever dump me.
What's that?
That document.
Oh, that. Just some business.
I came to apologize. I have no right to interfere in your lives.
I've eliminated the only evidence that links me to Ivan Chinawa's death.
But you didn't have to kill another person.
It's not like I've got anything to hide, Nene. Just go ahead.
Victoria, how is it like to work for Miles Filagazi?
Blood seemed to matter not.
Blood?
Yeah, blood.
I'm responsible for your father's death.
On the next episode of Login.
This week on Login, the Governor Valentine Special. The Honey Lamb Valentine Special.
And how do I live without your soul?
Login. You're watching Morning at NTV.
A very good morning to you, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you're joining us on air, live, on your TV station, in your office, at home. Thank you so much for tuning in this morning. And of course, wherever you are, even online, youtube.com/NTVUganda. You have people from the US of A, not United States of Apache, but United States of America for Barack Obama, who are tuning in live from Liberia, from Senegal. Can you imagine we have someone who is in the Norway tuning in? Thank you. We love that feedback. Send us, and you can stream live, youtube.com/NTVUganda, morning at NTV every day. You can also, if you don't have a TV in your office, do that and get in touch with whatever is going on. Earlier in the show, we had the police commander, Kampala Metropolitan, Andrew Kawesi, on why police lines up criminals every time it gets them. And Kasiate was definitely grilling him, and lots of your comments, and I just want to quickly go through them. Andrew Muanga says, just like I posted yesterday, Afande Kawesi has started to eat back his words on the strong shoot to kill order he just made recently. Mwami Kawesa, this is from Gordon Waswa, and Mwami Kawesa will get onto these platforms and answer your questions. Mwami Kawesi, Sebo, you say the policemen are not meant to be poor. Oh yes, you are right at this, but the mansions we see in the papers get real Afande. Okay. Elisha Ekisa says, there's nothing police is doing. Security is 5%, corruption is 95%. Tom Moses says, you've really failed on crime management. Go to Chisenyi right now and see what is happening. People can open shops before 6. Women can't go through Chisenyi carrying the bags when you have a full 99 patrol cut down in Muko, Kabale, playing Matatu in broad daylight, instead of stationing it in an area like Chisenyi with thieves high on marijuana 24/7. And those are very great points. I want to quickly move on to Twitter, and some of your reactions are awesome. Keep those comments and suggestions coming in. To gain Brian Karatwa saying, at morning at NTV, I hate police because the way they handle the poor and the rich is not fair at all. The rich are given first-class treatment. The poor are given second-class treatment. Well, Andrew Kawesi tried to explain some of those things. And of course, some of you just saying, this is fabulous. Good morning, that is at Kalexcam. Good morning, hope your day will be great as I wish it to be. And a very good morning to you, ladies and gentlemen, also. Now, if you're wondering, Mebkeb is not here with us. She had a trip, and she also tweeted at MB Gold 2 at Joel Senyonya at Kasiate, missing you all
But thanks for the beautiful job. Mabel, safe travels, and hopefully we'll see you tomorrow. At LC Muha saying it's that time again. Say good morning in a brand new style with Morning at NTV. Thank you so much, LC Muha. Keep that feedback coming on our Facebook page. We are now hitting more than 5,500. Go on and like that page. Invite your friends to like it. We are already giving out goodies. People have won mags. People are going to win the HTC. I'll be back to tell you more on how you can win the very beautiful HTC. But for now, if you're leaving your home, if you're leaving your office, if you have a meeting, wherever you are, coming up, the traffic report. 12 minutes after 8 o'clock, and today's traffic report is quite comprehensive. Now, some of our images first coming in from Isaac at Bukoto Chisasi. Right there, some of the traffic pictures, and this next picture was sent at about 7 o'clock, and James sending that picture. You can see the car with the red lights, and he sent also another picture, UAR 837Z over there at Bukoto Chisasi, and at Kabira Country Club. We all know that place is always jammed, and you can see some of those pictures. The next images coming in at Chura Road Police, and you can see the traffic is slow. Up to now, Chura Road Police going as they come from Kabira Country Club. We got more pictures at Acacia Avenue around Protea Hotel. You can see some of those images. So all these places are busy. The alternative, obviously, would be to wait and sit. Or you can use Kololo Nyonyi Gardens via the MTN offices and down to the airstrip. At Golf Course, you can see some of those images. And you can, well, this is Gordon who sent Golf Course. Yes. You can see those pictures. Golf course via, wow, this is a lot of traffic via golf course. I don't know if you can be able to zoom in that picture. You can see cars up to, wow, and post of Mandela up there, MTN, good on you. Nakumat also with some of those traffic reports. Well, here at Chintu Road, the traffic is very steady, close to Serena Hotel. If you're going to offices like Crescent Towers, National Theatre, Parliament, it is safe. You can pass. There's no traffic. Police officers are doing a phenomenal job. And wherever you go today, please feel free. Police officer, muwe yakantu, water. If you carry some resort in your car, just call a sense instead of waiting for not money. Don't bribe, okay? Don't bribe. But as a thing of saying thank you. One of these days, I'm going to go and manage the traffic in Kampala. So I'll be letting you know as and when I do that. But today, someone is born. A very happy birthday to you. And when I come back, I'll be telling you who is born today.
Happy birthday to you.
Now, back at home in our when we have parties, we usually sing a couple of songs, and the traditional is "Happy Birthday to you." That is it. If you I'll come back with the record. Now, a very happy birthday to Kemigisha Lillian. Kemigisha, your Facebook profile says you studied at Nkumba University and you are a director at Lab Lily General Traders, and you live in Kampala. Very happy birthday. Another happy birthday to Vicky Atiz, who is a student at the University of Nations in Arusha. A very happy birthday to you, Vicky. And Apili Eunice, who lives in Iganga. Aye, Apili Eunice, Tsangaire, And today is your birthday, so I'd like to sing for you. Happy birthday, dear Kemigisha, Vicky and Apiri. Happy birthday, dear all of you. Happy birthday to you. Very, very happy birthday to you. If we've missed your birthday, please feel free to let us know. And before the show ends, we can send those greetings out to you. Coming up, your HTC moment. Stay with us.
Happy birthday to you.
A very good morning to you, wherever you're joining us from. 17 minutes after 8 o'clock. And I'm pretty excited this morning. I don't know why, but I'll find out. Maybe some money may be coming. I'm not stressed this morning. So we'll be looking also at that later in the show. But this morning, your HTC moment. And remember that the segment of Everyday Life is proudly powered by HTC. I'm opening a brand new HTC Desire 300. You can get an opportunity to win this beautiful phone. Wow. White in color. Some of my favorite colors, white and black. And this phone is just so amazing. Remember, you can win. Now, all you have to do is make sure that you answer these following questions in the correct order they are, and you can walk away. And as you can see, that phone, it's very slim. Very, very slim, has Facebook, has a very powerful camera, and a place where you can back up your photos or any other information, and you have access to Gmail, of course an alarm clock, a place where you can also store your media. You can also use it to stream live on YouTube, play movies, so you definitely know that its processor is very strong. Now, if you answer the following questions, you get to walk away with this phone. The first question is, when did Morning at NTV premiere? Question number 2, name the 3 hosts of Morning at NTV. Question number 3, what mode of HTC are we giving out on Morning at NTV? And question number 4, when did South Africa's first ever black president pass on? Send your name and the answers to 6565 and you could be a winner. That is our HTC moment.
Doesn't really matter unless it does something that really matters to you. And we are HTC.
Everyday Life is brought to you by...
And we are HTC.
There you go. Now remember that Everyday Life is powered by HTC. And we are talking about issues that matter to you. Now, every Wednesday we focus on health in this segment. And this is usually looked at as the body's normal response to situations that may involve danger, fear, or difficult life circumstances. In many instances, it's good, and it's a natural thing, and often called the fight or flight response. What are we talking about? Stress. Some of us maybe spent the night stressed out. We are likely to experience some of this in the days to come or in the hours to come because we have to face our bosses. We're going to look at what causes stress, how you can manage it, and actually how it can be a health hazard to your body if you don't deal with it. But before we get into that discussion, take a look at the profile of our guest. There you go. Jen, good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Please tell us a little bit more about what you do.
I'm Jen Nampichi, as I've said, and I work at Befrienda Uganda. It's a suicide prevention center, the first of its kind. We have a helpline where people call when they are stressed, when they are depressed, when they have any mental illness, to be either supported or to be assessed for medical help.
Why do you call it a suicide help center?
It's a suicide prevention center. It's not a help center. Suicide prevention center with a helpline.
Okay.
Yes.
So if I want to commit suicide, I can call that number and you...
We do not see you through suicide. We help you prevent that suicide.
Okay.
What we do is we support people that have failed to make their choices, those people that think suicide is the only way out for their lives. So we kind of try to talk to them and have them see a different perspective of their own lives.
Right.
So that they can make up their mind and change what they're thinking, so that they don't look at suicide as a permanent solution to their temporary problem.
Isn't that very hard sometimes?
Sometimes it's hard, but when you have your mind at it, it's kind of fun. It's the reason why I kind of smile every time, because I feel like I'm not really so much troubled like I used to think before I started doing the same work. It's kind of a coping mechanism for me.
Oh.
Yeah.
Some people tell us that they are stressed wherever you walk, and then someone say, "But I'm in distress," or "But I'm stress." But do we understand what it is?
Yeah, I think stress is it's a word that is commonly used almost in everyone's life every single day. It's the way our bodies react, our minds react to the different things that are around us, our own feelings, the environment that we are in, the people around us. It's a normal body reaction. Like this morning, I just got here and I was super stressed because I'm just in this queue. I know the traffic lights say, please go, and the officer says you cannot go. And I'm like, what is he thinking? Does he know I'm supposed to be in this
somewhere?
Place? I'm supposed to be somewhere. So we all get these reactions in our daily lives. We all work in different offices, and some of us don't have jobs, so we are looking for a job. We have kids at home that want milk or they want sugar, and we don't have that. We have a friend that just called somebody and shared like a personal thing with them, and you didn't want them to say anything about it. You don't know what you're going to eat. So it's a lot of things that go into our daily lives that kind of get together, and then they kind of make our bodies react to think in a specific way. And it's not bad to stress. I think it's fun to stress. So
really?
Yes, it's fun to stress.
I don't like people that get stressed. In fact, I walk away from them.
Actually, when there's no stress, if life was just a straight path, it would be so boring. Imagine if the whole world had only women. Where would the men be? If the whole world had only men, where would the world be? So in the same way, if everything was so straightforward in life, then life would be so boring. We don't have anything to look forward to. We don't have ambitions to set. We don't have to think about tomorrow. Like everything is just on the table, like it's on our plate, ready to go. So I feel like stress is fun, so you can get to think. It can challenge your own mind or your own brain and feel like, how do I get out of this? Because every challenge needs a solution. Whatever you're faced with, you have to think of how do you solve it. But the bad part is we don't want to look at stress as a positive, but we want to look at it as a negative. In this case, we don't want to say, yes, I must be stressed, because it's not good for our health. It's never good to be stressed. But it's fun to be stressed. It's not good to be stressed, but it's fun. You enjoy that stress because
we'll get into that in a couple of minutes. But yesterday I was talking about managing anger. And yes, the causes of anger generally, these are the usual things that happen. But I also got to learn that there are categories of anger. There's passive anger, there's I think active anger. Then I thought to myself, is this the same thing that applies to stress? Do you have passive stress?
Yes, sometimes, yes. Like sometimes if you're stressed, you can say to keep it to yourself, and then you can say to pass it on to other people. Like if you maintain your stressing within you and you feel you must solve all your problems by yourself, you're keeping it to yourself. In the same way, if you're angry, you might store it by yourself and try to resolve your issues, or you react. If you go home, you slap your child, you slap your wife, you quarrel bitterly. You go to your place of work, the client comes and you're like, what is it? Like, you're so rough because you're stressed back from home, either on your way or as soon as you got in, something stressed you out and you're like, I have to pass it on. So it's either passive or active.
Well, if you're just joining us, we are looking at how, some of the health hazards of stress to your health. And please feel free to tag us on Twitter, wherever you are. That is Morning at NTV. And of course, you can go to our Facebook page, Morning at NTV, and ask Jane Nampija here, who works with the Suicide Prevention Center. And they don't help you through suicide. They stop you from committing suicide. And she's helping us understand this today. Are there indicators that should, when this happens, I think I'm stressed, I need to take a chill pill?
Yeah, actually, a chill pill?
Oh,
I won't go to that. But we always know when we are stressed. We all react differently to situations. Sometimes you lose your own sleep. You won't sleep, or you sleep too much because you're so stressed. You feel like, let me sleep it off. Or you stay up and you're like, what do I do tomorrow? You cannot sleep. And sometimes you lose your appetite when you cannot eat because your appetite has gone so low. So because you're stressed about something, you're like, how can I even eat if I have to do this, if I cannot find a solution to this?
Right.
And then sometimes you just gain that appetite. You're like, what else do I have to do? Let me just eat.
Yeah, sometimes I eat when I'm very stressed.
Sometimes people react differently. And then if they're married, they also lose their sexual libido. They'll end up not performing. You tell your wife and she's like, I'm not in the mood for that. Leave me alone, because they're stressed about something. You'll have a headache, like your body will begin to ache. You can either get a headache. Sometimes you're like, at 2 p.m., why am I having this bad headache? It's because you're stressed about something. It's not like you didn't eat. You're sure you had your lunch. You're sure you slept enough the past night, but you're still having a headache because you've been stressed since you got to your place of work. The back will start aching sometimes. Your chest will ache. You'll stop performing as another kind of a sign that you feel like you cannot do anything. You can have 10 things to accomplish in one day, but by 2 p.m. you realize actually you've not even done 3 of them. You're not performing. The reason you're not performing is because you're stressed about something and you're worried about how to go about it, and so that deters you from taking on your daily activities in the whole day, and then you're stranded. You're not performing to your expectation. You have a workload and you're not clearing anything. You have to go somewhere and you cannot even get out of your house because you're wondering, then what will happen if I go there? What if this happens? You're never certain. And it also leads to anxiety, where you're so anxious because you're stressed and you're like, oh goodness, or is this about to happen? Am I right? Then you become guilty because you're stressed. You think you're responsible for the stress that is coming to you, or you think someone else is responsible. It's a lot of guilt playing around because you're just stressed.
Right.
And sometimes you have a panic attack. On top of having an anxiety, you can have a panic attack. We've had people that are stressed. I once had a client who had gotten into an accident and we were trying to go through post-trauma. And because she knew what was going to happen, she gets to my table and she doesn't know what I'm going to say to her and she passes out.
What?
For 5 minutes. And I'm like, what is going on here? Because she's just stressed out. She came wondering what is she going to say to me, and she just passed out.
Right.
Like you can just get that attack and you pass out.
What's the worst case you've handled before?
We've handled lots of cases.
I don't know if you sign confidentiality. You don't have to tell us the name.
We have confidentiality in that, so I cannot tell you that.
Right.
But we've had complicated cases that we think are complicated, and we have those that we think are actually not cases, and people actually are making a big deal out of them because everyone reacts differently. In the same way you would react to a Panadol is not the same way I would react to a Brufen, So it's always different, the way people react to different situations. So you might say this is a complicated case, and to me I'm saying that's simple, it's nothing.
Right.
Yes.
What then do you do to stop this? Because, you've talked about panic attacks, anxiety. Some people have said you can get a dry mouth. I don't understand what that is, but others get hair loss. Genital herpes in men, in women. How is that possible?
It's because when you're stressed, your immune system goes down, and so you're kind of open to all these different infections from the environment, and then it's likely that you get something within your immune system, and that's when you get the herpes.
Wow.
Yeah, because your immunity is so low.
Is it too serious?
It is serious. Stress is a serious problem in our societies, and we have to learn how to deal with it.
Right.
Like I said, it's fun, but it can as well be bad.
Let's talk about dealing with it. Someone here on Facebook asking you a question. Kabanza Isaac, does taking drugs reduce stress?
Taking drugs does not reduce stress in any way. In fact, it wasn't the problem. Because you're trying to kill off that stress that is coming to you. But as soon as it's off, you'll be in a worse situation than where you were before you took that drug in. So it does not solve in any way. It's best if you have a situation, face it immediately and move forward. But just putting it to sleep is like taking a painkiller to prevent your malaria from progressing. But the actual fact is the malaria is still growing inside you. So you're not, the germ is growing. So the problem is still there. So taking alcohol to feel happy at that specific time will not solve your problem. You still be stressed as soon as you're not drunk.
Right. Consumer pressure is saying, during the day I don't get stressed. But when I lie on my bed, I open the gates of thoughts. What can I do to relieve myself from stress?
The reason you're not stressed during the day is because you have many people to talk to, you have people to interact with, and you have a lot of things that are going on. You don't have time to think about yourself. But when you at night, as you're on your bed, of course you're trying to see how was my day, and then you try to concentrate. The reason she gets so stressed at night is because she tries to concentrate on the bads that happen in her day.
Oh, when she gets...
Yes, so she looks at why did I fail in this place? Why didn't I do this? How comes I have nobody with me? You know, she begins to look at the failures in her life. That's what stresses her most at night.
Right.
But if only she can try to look at the positives in her life, see what has she accomplished in that day, what was successful, and take that like compliment for herself and feel like, yeah, so and so helped me and this was positive, that will help her not to be so stressed.
Does it help sometimes to find someone to talk to?
Yes, it does help. That's part of the solution.
About your issues?
Yes. Each time you try to cope by yourself, you worsen your problem. Because by the time you're stressing, it's because you do not know the way forward. Your lines of thinking have kind of blocked at the end, so you cannot know where to start and where to head. So if you talk to somebody about it, it helps more possibilities into your life. You get to see things differently than they were before. You come to you get to look at solutions. How do you get out of a situation? Because like I said, we all cope differently.
Yes.
Some people think if I take a leave and go somewhere silent, I can solve my problems. But there are people that cannot do that. Then when they are all by themselves, they'll think about all the bad things and they'll worsen their situations. So if you feel you cannot cope alone, it's very advisable that you talk to someone, a trusted friend or a family member. They'll always try to see you through the problem that you're going through, or try to show you, because we all kind of face the same problems, and we kind of share our experiences to help others learn from them.
How do you advise people not to get stressed when the times when you are stressed? And it's another question that someone has also asked here. How do you do that? When you're stressed, don't you get stressed?
When I'm stressed?
Yes. How do you tell other people not to be stressed, especially in those times? Because I see you as a pastor who does not have money, but is telling people, it's an oxymoron. How do you do that?
Actually, like I said, to me, stress is fun. It helps me think through my own life. Each time I get clients that are stressed or depressed or having any mental problem, it's a challenge to me to know if it comes to me. How did I tell the other person to cope with that same situation? So to me, I use, because I also get stressed, and I use personal experiences and experiences from people that have shared with me to push mine off.
Right.
How did they cope? What worked best? Because I get clients that have different ways of coping with even the advice that you give them or the advice that they want to share with you. But when I look at them, and because I always do a follow-up, how did they cope? What worked best for them? Is this a good practice that I should pass on to myself or to others?
Right.
So it's always more of sharing and networking and knowing how do I cope, how did they cope, what worked best, what did not work. So that's how I manage my life too. That's when I find it fun, because I'm like, oh, this is a problem. No, so-and-so had a bigger problem than mine. Then I'm like, oh, I'm better off.
Right.
Look positively. Don't think
Awesome.
negatively.
That's
I think
very good.
positively always, all the time.
Right.
And that helps everyone that I tell, think positive. Look at where have you achieved. That's how I cope with my stress.
And I guess that's why some of you know the reason why I have a smile all the time. It helps a lot. It helps you laugh off some of the things that you could otherwise be stressed about. Your messages, which we don't have a lot of time to answer, but Brian, does playing sex is not a game. Does having sex help a stressed person? Quickly.
Does having sex sometimes, like we all find, relaxation in different things. If sex is fun for you and you're married, I'm not saying go out and pick don't go out and pick any person from the street side or defile somebody's child, or do not do it in the bad way. If you have your wife or you have your husband and you feel that will kind of calm you down, go for it.
Yeah.
Why would I say no if it helps you calm down? You've done it before, so you know how that helps you feel.
I can confirm to you that sometimes sex reduces the stress. I have experienced that in my own way. Well, thank you so much for joining us. There are lots of questions on Facebook, but we'll allow you to go to our Facebook page. Let the discussion continue on Facebook. Jane is going to get on right now and answer those questions to whoever is asking. I honestly think stressing about something is a natural happening. It disappears on its own after some time, and other responding to it makes it worse. We'll be also sharing with you Jane's number, and you can call her for any advice. I'll call you again to share with us about suicide.
No problem. Anytime.
Yes, and the situation in Uganda. Standing by is Isma Dakabatigongo. What do we have in the world of sports this morning?
Good morning. I bet your eyes are sulking like mine because of the Champions League last night. We'll be discussing a bit of that as Barcelona completely obliterated Manchester City. Then we'll discuss a bit of the PSG and also have a look at the national ladies volleyball team that is playing in Nairobi. Do talk about the Africa cross-country championships that come to Uganda next month. And that will be it for sport. And of course, the biggest game coming up tonight, Arsenal against Bayern Munich, is still morning at NTV.
Powered by HTC. This brilliant phone could be yours. All you have to do is answer the following simple questions. When did Morning at NTV premiere? Name the 3 hosts of Morning at NTV. And also you'll answer what mode of HTC are we giving out on the show, and when it did South Africa's black president pass on. Send your names and the answers to 6565 and you could walk away with this beautiful HTC. We'll be right back. It's only 22 minutes on to 9 o'clock. Good morning.
Everyday Life was brought to you by...
And we are HTC.
A wife who you got through the office will be very insecure about you working in another place.
Always hunt up, don't hunt down.
You mean what? Go after your superior?
How dare you suggest that when a woman is aggressed against, we should look at the person who's been aggressed against?
Let the couple be. Let them sort out their issues. When they need you, then you'll come in.
Prostitution is being given a new brand.
All I know is that I connect people.
Some call it skinny dipping, others call it chitwe.
If it's a principle for you, then the cookie should not hold you hostage.
Let's not choose to open our zips and do whatever our urge is, because I don't think that an urge is stronger than your will to say no.
People attach a lot of questions, shame to HIV.
I do not believe that when you wear a short dress, you should be a rap.
Marrying a wife is like having assured sex.
Anytime you come, you must have.
Yes.
To raise a population that has no clue how to be men.
Can you bring out a quality family?
I don't get married for my family.
Men, every Wednesday only on NTV.
Every idea we have begins with you. The way you connect.
Good morning.
How you browse. How you share. and how you interact with the world around you.
Your relationship with your God is the most important thing. Have a company of people who have got a similar mindset.
How do you want people to think, feel, and act after your talk? In other words, what's your objective?
You inspire everything. Because in the end, innovation doesn't really matter unless it does something that really matters to you. And we are HTC.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jesus came to set you free and to be free indeed.
In life, you don't wait.
Yeah.
There are certain times where you wait for certain decisions, but when it comes to taking action and choices, you have to move.
Jesus Christ found me, and he actually asked me a question, whether I wanted to live or to die.
Every day of my life was struggling. It's just that God has given me this kind of hope.
GXP every Sunday only on NTV, your official inspiration station.
Marriage is tough, but you suck it up and you stick through the good times and the bad times. What kind of example are you setting for your sister who is about to walk down the aisle herself?
Shut up, Nandi. Seriously, you just keep poking and poking at other people's relationships. You're like a cancer.
Ate, I hope you're discussing fashion. Because you have everything under control, yes? And the only crisis you're going to have is you clashing with the red carpet.
We've made mistakes. And that's what marriage is all about. Mistakes and forgiveness. For better or for worse.
I'm sorry, but I've got to ask. Nothing happened between me and Usha.
Well, Lulu is not here, and if she comes, I'll let her know you're here. You picked the wrong person to mess with, Lucy.
A very good morning to you. In case you're just joining us, we are live here at the Kampala Serena Hotel rooftop, and it's about 17 minutes on to 9 o'clock. Lots of wind in the place, but we hope we're getting definitely the best quality up here. With Dakaba Chigongo, good morning.
Good morning.
Mabel is MIA this morning, but she's out there in Iganga doing the good thing. Something that we encourage you to do. Make sure that you go and help you know, the poor, help the people that need the services.
Someone tell her we miss her?
Yeah, we miss. She tweeted this morning, yeah, that she misses us. So we'll catch her tomorrow, and Mabel, safe travels back home. Isma, let's get right from volleyball. One of my most favorite sports. You know, the ladies team, the national ladies team, taking a break. Of course, they won their second game, but they're taking on Mozambique today. How does the rest help at all?
I think sometimes when you're playing in tournaments, you've got to be given a chance to switch on and switch off. And for me, one of the things I love about taking breaks, especially in tournaments like this, where you're playing back to back, you've got to play a game and then get a breather. And normally, it's not about the physical fatigue, because physically, all teams are dealing with the same thing, but mentally, teams are not dealing with the same kind of challenges. So I think this kind of break for Tony Lakonza is, for me, a chance that the team had to switch off and probably do something, go to the zoo, look at an animal, do something that is totally different from what they've been doing. And that normally revitalizes the energy of teams. That should be very helpful in terms of helping the team in their next game, which comes up today. So I'm hoping that that break was very helpful. If only they didn't just stay in the hotel and discuss volleyball, because most of the time probably you go out and watch a movie, you go out and watch Elysium, you go out and watch something like Long Walk to Freedom. By the time you get back into the game, your game DNA is back. So I'm hoping that they gain something like that from this. In a tournament where they've got to win every game. Of course, they already lost one to Kenya, beat up on the Seychelles, and I've got to beat Mozambique today to stay in the running. So I'm hoping that the kind of things, the juices that you gain from resting, especially a lot of rehydration on a day when you're not playing, is very important.
Do we have to win every game to progress?
I think yes, we do, because only one team will get through. And knowing that Kenya already beat Uganda,
us, yeah.
and only one team will go through, that means Uganda have to win all their remaining games. That was against Seychelles, against Mozambique, against Senegal, against Tunisia. Because the other 6th team, which was Cape Verde, pulled out of the tournament. So they've got to win every game to stand a chance. And even if they won every game, that wouldn't be enough, because they still have to bank on Kenya losing a game here and there,
which is highly
unlikely, especially that Kenya are playing at home.
Wow. Well, let's wait for that. I think one day we'll talk some volleyball specifics, because I've forgotten most of this stuff. I used to be a booster, so and once in a while I would spike. But that's the let's.
If only you could wear a dress and go to Nairobi and help the team.
I wish. That's not good. Well, today Uganda will be playing Mozambique at 2 p.m. in Nairobi, and we'll be, of course, giving you more details of that in our subsequent sports segments. Now, moving on to athletics, the International Athletics Body approving Uganda's course for the next month's Africa Cross Country Championship. How much success should Ugandans expect?
I think recently Ugandans have done very well in the cross country. I think from around 2009, when Kipsiro was one of the best runners at the World Cross Country Championships in Poland, and then the junior team, especially the women, have also done well running elsewhere, especially outside Africa, in wintry conditions, by the way, most of the time in Europe. And then most of the Ugandans will come in, most of the Ugandan athletes will come into this, having done a lot of practice. Just recently, there was the National Cross Country Championships that took place in Jinja, which Moses Kipsiro won for the 5th time in just 6 years. And also, they've been doing a lot of practice in Mbale, and the national team is assembling in Buko in terms of to prepare, as the international body approves the course. Actually, it's going to take place in Kololo, and that will be, I think, on March 26th. Should be around the last Sunday of next month, the last Sunday of March. So it should be. I think Uganda should look forward to this, because, like I've said, I'm really backing so many of the Ugandan athletes to do well. Philip Kipieko, most of them have been very competitive in the weeks leading up to this, so they'll not come in with any kind of stiff legs or something like that, because they've been that competitive in so many places, and that kind of practice normally helps, especially the junior team. The junior athletes have always been running outside Uganda at a time when the athletes don't attend so many events. At least the cross country is one event that the Uganda Athletics Federation has looked at and has given the athletes a lot of exposure. There is hardly any World Cross Country Champion where Uganda does not have a team, both in the senior for men and women and for the juniors. So it's something that everyone has concentrated on, and I'm really looking forward to this. I think we should be among the medal brackets for this, though the Ethiopians will always be the ones to beat in the cross country, and of course the Kenyans. That's where the challenge.
You know, I'm still waiting and looking forward to a time when we'll have, Kipsiro's promised training facility. Yeah. I think then we shall have an edge over it.
Because people always look at it that after the athletes are good, they don't need this training facility, and for them, it's a few of them by the way go and train in Kenya. I've heard this excuse that after they can go and train in 10 district in Kenya, Stephen Kiprotich and Moses Kipsiro have been one of those who have been there regularly. But the problem I have with this is that is for the few athletes who can afford it. That can afford to go. There are so many athletes who would love to, but cannot afford to go and spend a month in Kenya. So if you have that high altitude training facility, I know Kiprotich has about 200 of them is helping so many kids who come in just to get skills from him. Kipsiro does almost a similar job, and is always even helping out the national team. So if you have this high altitude training facility in Buko, it will be very helpful. At least from my gathering of information, I've heard from someone who was tasked to do a water project that is supposed to take water to the place where it's going to be constructed, and that's for me only a first step. And I've spoken to one of the people who are working in German Technical Corporation, and was telling me about the biggest task they have is to have a road that goes to the hills because that's a bigger project
Yes,
than even the high altitude the training
huge.
camp. So I think when those are put in place, especially the road and the water that is going to be pumped from right below the mountain to the top, that will be a start.
That's a lot of work. But we'll be letting you know about the progress of the high altitude center. Let's move on to international sport and quickly go through yesterday's matches. The Champions League night, one of the most beautiful nights in world football. One, Leverkusen against PSG and Man City against Barcelona.
Let's start in Germany. As one-sided as you'll ever find again. PSG traveling to Germany and winning that game by 4-0. I think for me it was a difference between winter and summer.
It's already done, literally.
It should be done because the French probably, as they go home, they will know that Leverkusen need to score 5.
Yes.
And Leverkusen don't score many. I remember them losing 5-0 to Manchester United in the group stages, and they're also struggling to score in the German Bundesliga. So these kind of things came to haunt them last night, because when the moment PSG took the lead through Blaise Matuidi, it looked so easy after that. Zlatan Ibrahimovic gets 2, and then Johan Kabay, who they signed from Newcastle in January, also gets the other. I really think PSG did their homework. I thought Laurent Blanc, by just having so many midfielders to crowd out the middle, especially having Blaise Matuidi and then Thiago Motta and Marco Verratti in the middle, they just suffocated the game out of Leverkusen. They just couldn't get any kind of play going. Lars Ben and Simon Rolfes were inexistent. I barely saw Stefan Kessling have a shot on target. That's how poor Leverkusen were. And then they had a man sent off. They gave away penalty. For me, like I say, it was the difference between winter and summer. I wonder which is winter here, depending on what conditions you have. But everyone loves summer. PSG should have been the summer, and then Leverkusen the winter. But the other one, the Barcelona one.
You predicted Man City would be all over Barcelona.
Wow.
What happened on the night?
One of the things that you cannot take away from the best players in the world, who I think Barcelona could have 3 of the best 10 players in the world, is that they can give you that one performance that is spellbinding. Now, last night was as spellbinding as Barcelona probably of 2011 or 2009. Totally outplayed Manchester City. Yeah. Totally outplayed. And I'd almost sounded a warning that probably Barcelona had just turned the corner. After Messi got fit again, after his injury, I thought that Barcelona were turning the corner. But on the other hand, City had been so strong at home that you'd give them a chance to go and compete. Look what they are totally outplayed, because the moment the possession starts 20 to 70% for Barcelona and only about 30 for Man City, that was for me the end of it. But I look at one of the things I think you say what went wrong. When Pellegrini opted to play 2 left backs on the left with Gajakrish and Alexander Kolarov, I could back him because Kolarov could be an attacking player in a sense, but also could help out defensively and also drop to the middle. Now, that for me, on the other hand, it took away a lot of the bite for Man City. They could barely attack Barcelona. And then they go and give away penalty because Martin de Michelis with a reckless foul on Messi when he was through on goal. And for me, while the initial contact happens outside the box, Messi is headed to the box. So he's almost a foot away from the box. So eventually the referee awards it as a penalty. So there were so many things I think that Man City could have done better. But that takes nothing away from this Barcelona side. This as good a performance. They were
Fabregas totally.
And I thought that was for me the trick. And I remember telling you, Brian, yesterday that the moment they move Fabregas and have him play as a 4th midfielder, not play him in the front line, they are going to be able to suffocate Man City. And the moment they did that, there was barely any space. You would see Man City with the ball, but they couldn't get anyone onto it. We now Barcelona press high up the pitch, and now they had 4 players to press that ball in the middle: Iniesta, Xavi, Busquets, and Fabregas. Then you have Messi falling back and Alexis Sanchez. They could barely get any kind of movement, Man City. And for me, like Leverkusen, Man City are out. Not many teams win at the Camp Nou.
Well, we'll see what happens in the second leg, and also tonight is another Champions League night. We have AC Milan against Atletico Madrid, and of course Arsenal against the German. This is going to be. I don't know what I'll say tomorrow, but quickly, let's start with AC Milan and Madrid. Who are you tipping for the win?
Over the 2 legs, I want to go for Atletico. They have that second leg to come at the Vicente Calderon, and they don't lose that many games. I remember them only drawing with Barcelona and drawing with Sevilla this season. They've been that dominant at home. And Milan are not a team that is playing with a lot of confidence. They are already out. They are not even in the top 10. They are not even in the top 10. So that should be Atletico's game to win. But if there's a team that knows how to compete in Europe, it's got to be AC Milan. In the years of the man who is the manager, Clarence Seedorf, they were never playing very well. They were not playing very well in the league, but they could still go and compete in Europe, and that's why they have 7 titles. So when I look at that, I think Milan will compete, but may not have the quality and confidence to knock out Atletico, who have a second leg to come at home. Probably tonight Atletico could go and play very defensive because Diego Simeone can be ultra defensive and very physical, and they pick a draw from Italy. That would be enough for them to go and advance when they get back home.
I've always thought Seedorf is like Moyes. He's not the right coach for AC Milan, regardless of whether he played for them.
I think for him it's a bit of being given greens and then told to manufacture an omelette. When you have only greens in the kitchen, you can't make an omelette. Now that is a problem for me. For him is that while he might be good, they don't have the quality. They don't have the quality.
Arsenal Bayern.
Yeah.
Let's look at the lineup.
Yeah. First of all, Bayern won here at the Emirates 3-1 last season, though Arsenal went to Germany and won by 2-0. Probably one of the only 3 teams to beat up Bayern in last year, 2013, where they lost only 3 games. I think for Arsenal to have a chance, just like Man City, they've got to get a result at home. They've got to get a result at the Emirates, regardless of how they set up. And for me, if I was the kind of person who was Arsene Wenger, who I highly doubt is going to be, I would love to see probably him, first of all, try to keep Bayern away from the ball. And that for me would have to play 2 sitting midfielders. That is Mikel Arteta and Flamini, because I don't think his backline will change that much. Noroko Sen and Mertesacker playing together have been very good. Probably Bakary Sagna will come back into the game because he even rested in the game against Liverpool, where they played Carl Jekinson. And then he has a decision to choose between Kieran Gibbs and Nacho Monreal. Gibbs can be better going forward, not as good defensively as Nacho Monreal, but Monreal is much slower. Then for me, I look at his midfield and I'm thinking, okay, Arteta and Flamini are a must.
Flamini is a must. He's a beast.
He's a beast. He's the kind of player you want, especially against a Bayern team that love to pass the ball. And we'll have Mario Götze patrolling that area just outside the box. So then, for me, the bigger decision there, because I think also Santi Cazorla and Mesut Ozil and then Olivier Giroud are a must.
Yes.
Then does he go for Lucas Podolski to play down the left and cut in and help out on Olivier Giroud in terms of goal scoring opportunities, or Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, who has been playing well ever since he returned from that injury? He has a big decision to make there. And Chamberlain was brilliant against Liverpool. He even scored a goal. But how much was taken out of him? So one of those 2 has got to be the one he's going to choose. And I would go for Podolski, seeing as this is a German team, and Podolski was once a Bayern Munich player. He'd want to prove a lot. So I would go for Podolski in this one. Yeah, to start
Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich. What are we up against? We the Arsenal supporters.
You're up against, for me, the best team in Europe for the past 18 months. And they have everything to back them in terms of the success, the 5 trophies, the most goals scored, the unbeaten in the league for 43 games. You can all defraud, you can look at the quality of the Bundesliga as not the best. But one of the things that Bayern have done, when they are competing in the Bundesliga, they really show that they are way ahead of the competition. This will probably be the toughest game they'll play this season, besides playing Borussia Dortmund, because the Nurembergs, the Freiburgs are not at the quality of Arsenal. But I have a feeling that because Pep Guardiola has really tried to rotate his team, he'll have a very fresh squad. I look at him having Rafinha still stay at right back, where he's played, and Philipp Lahm staying in the midfield. I see David Alaba coming back into the side, didn't play at the weekend. So does Jerome Boateng, also was rested in the week, there to be one of the central defenders to protect Manuel Neuer. Now his big decision for me will come in the middle. I think he loves Philipp Lahm, and I also do, because I find him very, very intelligent player. And he comes into the middle. I think he loves the work rate of Toni Kroos too, and then there will be Ian Robben. Now for me, the 4th midfield slot is between Thiago Alcantara, who has been playing, and then Bastian Schweinsteiger was recovered from injury. Now, for me, if Bastian Schweinsteiger is a better player because you're playing away from home and is a lot more exposed than Thiago Alcantara, if you select Schweinsteiger, you're going for experience and not form, because Alcantara has been the form player. And then I also envisage a situation that if I was Guardiola, I would have to play a forward who is Mario Mandzukic, because Arsenal can defend very deep with Paramita Saka, but then I don't see him doing that because he has developed a liking for playing Thomas Muller and Mario Götze because he wants to be flat at the front and probably probe a lot of spaces. So I see a very competitive game by the way. And Arsenal's best chance is to win at the Emirates.
We must win. We must win at the Emirates. Ladies and gentlemen, catch the details of this and more on Omumuli at 1:30 p.m. and Sports Bar on Monday live from the Club Silk at 10:30 p.m. Unfortunately, there's about a minute on to 9 o'clock. Let's, before we head out, here's your African proverb. He who is destined for power does not have to fight for it.
Probably it's the most strong proverb we've ever done. Everyone with power in this world has had to fight for it. One of the things I know that when you get into a position of power, like Margaret Thatcher once said, the former British Prime Minister, she said that when you're powerful, you don't have to show it. It's only those people who don't have power that try to show it. But if you're saying, he who has power,
well, if your calling is to be a leader, it will come to you naturally.
Like recently I read in The Observer where the president, Museveni, lost an election for head prefect in Intare back in in his high school days. And he's now president of Uganda.
He had to fight for it. But, well, point about that African proverb. If you have any proverb you'd like us to profile, please feel free to send it to our Facebook page, Morning at NTV, and of course, at our Twitter handle, which is Morning at NTV. And of course, feel free to help us also send that SMS to 6565. Remember also to answer the questions as far as giving you that opportunity to win the HTC is concerned. Go to our Facebook page for more details and you can be a winner. From Dakaba, Simon, Joel, and Mabel, who is in Iganga, I am Muno, Turetera Mboli.
Bakuba muna Mabel woboli kwida. Tuwerabira kwetu ikamboli.
Kwetu ikamboli. Hey, aye, tusangaire. Good day, everyone.
NTV, turning on your world.
An expensive highway full of corruption.
Hey, my friend, how are you?
Even if you give me 1 million, I will take.
Give me 1 million?
Yeah. They make the drop and they make the pick. Expose criminals on the highway on NTV tonight, this Wednesday.
On the next episode of Rational Heart.
Let's talk
Don't you
somewhere
touch me! Don't you touch me! I don't know what was going through my head when I let you touch me, you dirty scumbag, you animal!
Hold on. Will somebody explain to me just exactly what is going on here?
I came to take out the trash. I'm tired of waiting for the law. I came to settle things myself. Now, brother, it's just you and me.
Look, don't do anything stupid.
A Rational Heart.
This program is rated PG. It is suitable for children ages 8 and above, but parental guidance is advised as it might contain mild violence and mature situations.
Before time began, there was the cube. We know not where it comes from, only that it holds the power to create worlds and fill them with life. That is how our race was born. For a time we lived in harmony, but like all great power, some wanted it for good, others for evil. And so began the war. A war that ravaged our planet until it was consumed by death. And the cube was lost to the far reaches of space. We scattered across the galaxy, hoping to find it and rebuild our home, searching every star, every world. And just when all hope seemed lost, message of a new discovery drew us to an unknown planet called Earth. But we were already too late.
Oh God, 5 months of this? Can't wait to get a little taste of home. Plate of mama's alligators etouffee.
You've been talking about barbecue gators and crickets for the last 2 weeks. I'm never going to your mama's house, Fig. I promise.
But
I'm not going to your mama's house.
Gators are known to have the most succulent meat.
I understand.
Con un poquito de arroz con habichuela y unos tostoncitos por el lado.
English, please.
English.
I mean, how many times we don't speak Spanish? I told
Why
you
you gotta ruin it for me, man? That's my heritage. Siempre me estás jodiendo por la misma mierda. De que...
Go with the Spanish, whatever.
Hey, you guys remember weekends? Huh? The Sox at Fenway, a cold hot dog and a flat beer.
Perfect day. What about you, Captain? You got a perfect day?
Man, I just can't wait to hold my baby girl for the first time.
Oh, you don't. I gotta shut up.